Austin Rivers wants to play for the Celtics. No thanks. All said.
Commenting is off. Like, I don't really understand that, but whatever. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 160 of the Salvaggio and Cratty Sports Podcast. If you again on another Wednesday night, 7:06 p.m., September 20th. It is football season, so we're starting with football tonight. We do have some hockey and baseball to wrap up the show tonight, as we didn't last week. There were some hockey topics, but nothing too pressing that was like a must address. There's a few more things this week with the Red Sox, the NHL, and the Bruins. So before we get into anything, as usual, and as we start with studs and duds, it feels good to be back in the swing of that. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing good. As you kind of alluded to, like you said, we're going to touch on it a little later with all the football stuff we have to get to. But nice of the Red Sox to drop a pretty massive news story the day that the recording of the podcast comes out. So they didn't drop it right after we recorded, which at least was nice of them. But of course, that came out on the Thursday. We had nothing to do about that. So we'll talk about it a little later than usual. But yeah, as you said, football is what we're going to start with, of course, because it is football season, and that is the more pressing and important matter.
Most definitely. Would you like to start?
Sure, I will take it away as we usually do, starting with my number 3 stud from the game. Some people, and we'll talk about this guy a little later on, because I find it just absolutely insane that some people still want to blame this guy for the Patriots' struggles. It is quarterback Mac Jones, 31 of 42, 231 yards, a touchdown, a pick. 4 sacks, nothing you can do about that when he has like 2 seconds to throw the ball pretty much all game. And an 84.5 quarterback rating, which isn't the flashiest thing on the planet. Of course, I mentioned the interception, which you can blame him. You can blame Parker. It was not a good decision by Mac Jones to not realize that Xavier Howard pretty much just bodied Devontae Parker to the sideline. He had no chance of completing that pass. Outside of that, thought Mac played really well given the circumstances. As I said, I think the average, he had like under 2 seconds to throw the ball. Most of the game, it was like a lot of plays was like 1.8 or whatever it was. So he was under duress all night long, had a couple of really good throws on the run, showed some running ability, which is good to see for Mac Jones. Like a little bit more of that if he's going to have to be running for his life most of the season. And then, like I said, as we'll get to later, there have been multiple stats and multiple people who have come to Mac Jones' aid across Twitter. That, like I said, we'll get to a little later to discuss how much of an improvement Mac has made from what was a horrendous season last year to 2 games into this year. Like I said, I'll say it as much as I possibly can until he proves me otherwise. He is not the problem with this team. I had no problem with how he played, like I said, outside of the pretty bad pick, which, again, kind of a toss-up if you want to blame him or Devontae Parker for maybe not fighting for that ball a little more.
Yeah, I think people blaming Mac Jones are, ones that have already hated him going into the season and need a reason, which is losing games, to blame him. Or people who just like take the easy route and just be like, oh, I'll blame the quarterback. It's the most important position, not winning games, quarterback's fault. Or just nitpickers. There's, people in this situation usually fall into one of those 3 camps. I liked how Mac played too. Not as like good of a, game in terms of like stats that as last game, a little more passing yards. I think looked a little better at times in week 1, but overall, like I really can't complain much with Mac Jones. He looks much more comfortable, despite the offensive line struggles at times in the new system. And we'll talk about him more later, as you said. My number 3 stud was Hunter Henry, who is having a somewhat quiet, nice start to the year. Amongst the top tight ends in the league in receiving yards right now. I had 6 catches on 7 targets for 52 yards and a touchdown. Just like Kendrick Bourne last week, we said they can use Hunter Henry now consistently.
It's nice to see.
New offense, and it's cool because you gave the guy a good amount of money. It's a guy going into becoming a potential Patriots target that summer. Bill Belichick had his eye on for a while. Was a big fan of Hunter Henry, and now he gets to use him. Surprised he didn't kind of override Matt Patricia a little bit more last year, given how it's working now. But that's in the past. I like how Hunter Henry played. Kind of not like this big play tight end, but just quietly makes efficient catches on efficient routes when you need a few yards. Not a guy that's going to burn you down the field or anything, but he's just efficient. I think that's the perfect word to describe him when he's on his game.
Yeah, like you said, it's good to see him getting involved early and often. Obviously, what happened last week, and then going to this week, nice to see, like you said, the Patriots actually using tight ends for a change. And Gesicki, to go along with him too, didn't have him in the studs. Spoiler alert, you did not have him either. But I thought he kind of the same thing as Henry, not obviously stat wise as much production, but quietly a solid game. And similar, they were trying to use him early on, just maybe to try to throw back at the Dolphins. Hey, this is what you got rid of and gave us. But then of course, they didn't do a whole lot the rest of the game. So be that as it may.
Yeah, we're seeing a glimpse of what could have been in the past 2 years with two solid tight ends. Jonnu Smith didn't work out. Play calling was wonky. Now you have better play calling and a better tight end duo as a whole. So you're getting better results. That makes a lot of sense.
Jonnu Smith, who might be taking over Kyle Pitts' role in Atlanta after this week, maybe. I don't know if people saw that game. Just shows to show how.
Dude, I gotta be honest. That game wasn't on red zone much when I was looking at the screen super keenly, but I got to be honest, I have not seen one Jonnu Smith play all year, and it's fine with me.
That's exact. Yeah, that's right. I just saw scrolling through Twitter. It was like, or more so for fantasy football. But he had like more routes run, more targets, obviously, more or close to more
classic Atlanta
snaps.
Falcons, man.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing with their weapons outside of Bijan. But again, we'll get to the more NFL recap a little later. Sticking with the studs, my number 2, Kyle Duggar, did give up a touchdown, but I think you can maybe more put that on the scheme that Miami had. They focused a little bit on that during the broadcast, saying like, oh, some nice trickery there and some misdirection to get, I think it was both Duggar and Gonzalez out of position on that one play. Other than that, I thought Duggar played pretty well. 1 for 2 in coverage stats, courtesy of Mark Daniels, I believe it was, where he had this from. 2 yards allowed, which was the touchdown pass breakup, 63 snaps played, 100% of them. Had a nice chase down on Jalen Waddle on an end around play where he lost 2 yards. And then, of course, recovered the blocked field goal that he had. And like I said, the touchdown, I chalk that more up to Miami scheming that up more than, just a complete lapse in judgment or anything that Duggar did wrong on that play. But he was good for in a game where the defense, as we'll get to a little later in the duds, struggled for the most part.
Yeah, and I'm with you. He's just really smart. I think he's one of the smarter guys they have on defense at such a young age, which is impressive. Also extend him.
Absolutely.
Before he gets more pricey, extend him.
Yep. It's crazy. I was listening to Greg Bedard the other day, and he brought that up. Like the fact that he, the guy you just mentioned, Hunter Henry, and then on when that none of them have been extended yet, or really it seems like have even been approached about an extension. Not great down the road. Like you need to start locking some of these guys up that can help produce, and Duggar is especially one of those guys, as we know and we have seen.
Agreed.
I did not know that we had a consensus. I knew we had a consensus number 1. Did not know we had a consensus number 2. So we'll stick with it. Feel free to jump in whenever you feel like. Christian Gonzalez, the rookie, our number 1 stud from the week. Coverage stats: 2 for 5, 21 yards allowed. Did have the nice interception that the Patriots did nothing with. 6 tackles, 63 snaps. Once again, played every snap on the field as a rookie. Was the 3rd highest graded cornerback in the NFL per Pro Football Focus. 91.6 coverage grade for week 2. This is from NFL Rookie Watch on Twitter. Said, quote, Christian Gonzalez had the locks on Tyreek Hill. Gonzalez was targeted just twice when he was in coverage on Hill. He didn't allow a single reception and came away with an interception on one of the targets. Gonzalez is currently allowing a passer rating of 58.5 through 2 games. And then this was from a Booish Sports on Twitter. So Christian Gonzalez guarding elite wide receivers through the first 2 weeks. Tyreek Hill, as we know, we just said, no yards and an interception. Jalen Waddle, 15 yards allowed. A.J. Brown, 47 yards allowed. And then Devonta Smith, 22 yards allowed. So the rookie has been able to hold his own so far and is looking like a pretty solid prediction for me so far as a potential defensive defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, he's awesome.
It's nice to finally have another number 1 corner, like bona fide number 1 corner, it seems like again.
All the billing was true. All the people who saying like, oh, he might have competitiveness issues coming out of the draft were wrong. He's quiet, cool, calm, collected. His footwork is crazy. I'm not going to act like a scout or anything, like but
guru, yeah.
His footwork, dude, is phenomenal. Like he's so technically sound. He is a delight to watch, and his interception was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like the ground he covered on that. It's not like he was right there in coverage and had to go over Hill. Like he had to kind of chase Hill down a little bit there, which is obviously not an easy thing to do. Some people might argue on the other side of it, like Tua kind of just threw a jump ball to Tyreek Hill for no reason. And I'm going to give Gonzalez all the credit in the world, as you said. Very good technique on it. to go up and snatch that away from one of the top guys who we were worried about. Talked about Jonathan Jones, obviously potentially not playing in that game when we did the preview. It turns out he did not, of course, and then obviously that kind of sets off some red flags. But Gonzalez, as we said, no receptions allowed for Tyreek Hill, doing that as a rookie. That's a pretty good, pretty good start to your NFL career so far.
Yeah, he is a number one corner. He's on his way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can say it definitively after 2 games, but he's on his way. I mean, this kid is too legit to say anything otherwise for me right now.
I'm right there with you. So I'm glad we're in agreement on that. On to the duds side of things, unless we want to talk any more about Christian Gonzalez and how well he has looked. But I think we've pretty much covered everything there. So I will jump to my number 3 dud. As I said, defense is going to feature on this a little bit for the both of us, starting off with Jabril Peppers, a guy I had on my studs list last week. He finds the duds list. 6 tackles, 63 defensive snaps played. He played all of them and 10 special team snaps as well. I was shocked to see he had 6 tackles in the game because I feel like every time I was watching the game or there was a Dolphin making some sort of, missed tackle or jumping around the guy, Jabril Peppers was the guy flailing. He missed a tackle on Raheem. Most of it resulted in a first down run. He missed a tackle on that Ahmed running back they have that would have been a tackle for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. That went for a pretty decent chunk. And then also had a holding penalty on a Dolphins punt, which of course set the Patriots back. I don't know if they did anything on that drive, but tough fall off from week 1. Like I said, a guy we talked about pretty highly of. Not a great week 2 for Jabril Peppers, a guy that we hope bounces back because obviously we saw in week 1 what he brings to the table when he is on his A game.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a bit of a shock to see him whiffing on some tackles after he just absolutely bundled
lit guys up. Week 1.
But yeah, it was a down game, but nothing too crazy to worry about, I don't think. Long day. My number 3 dud was Ezekiel Elliott.
I was gonna say that's how I feel when I watch your number 3 dud play whenever he's out on the field.
Yeah,
so, good for
right
you.
now. Yeah, it's not good for Zeke. Only 5 carries with 13 yards. Kind of feels like one of those situations where, like, if he did more with those first 5 carries, you would have seen him a little more involved. Wasn't the case. I don't know if it's, they're kind of waiting and seeing, like not throwing him in with the Wolves right away. Maybe this was designed, but I imagine they'd like more than the 13 yards. And it just was a flat effort for him.
Yeah, you would hope so, or you would think so. Because, I mean, he was brought into, as we talked about when it happened, he's a bigger guy. So you think, like, help with the pass rush, help with short down yardage, maybe some goal line stuff. And it was all Stevenson doing that. And obviously rightfully so, because Stevenson, obviously the better back, more talented. But again, when Zeke is brought into those specific things and he can't even get on the field to do that, it's going to lead to some questions of, okay, well, kind of the same thing the Patriots are doing with Juju Smith-Schuster, who we're not going to, talk a whole lot about. But at least from where I'm standing, kind of the same thing. It's like, all right, like, you brought these guys in here. Did you not have a plan for them when you brought them in? Or you're still trying to figure that out? Obviously, it is, again, 2 weeks into the season, so you're not going to overreact too much to it, but it is a little jarring to see Zeke only, like you said, have 5 carries the entire game. And you said it probably perfectly. Maybe it's because he didn't do a whole lot with those 5 that he ends up finding his way to the bench and the duds list for the first time this year.
Yes, most definitely.
My number 2, I had Cole Strange, and maybe this was tough because it was Cole Strange's first game and feels like forever. Of course, did not play any of the preseason, got hurt pretty early on. But it was a rough one, his first game back. A sack allowed, a holding penalty. The sack he gave up to David Long Jr., this was the one I was talking about. Took 1.78 seconds to occur while he doubled Zach Seiler with David Andrews leaving David Long to take a free run at the quarterback. Like I said, I don't know how you can blame Mac Jones for people when that stat is out there. He had less than 2 seconds to throw the football because of his left guard, and you want to blame the quarterback for not, being able to help or move the ball down the field. Failed to block Seiler on the very next play, which led to the Chubb run stop on Stevenson. On the final pass of the game, he and Andrews both got beat by Bradley Chubb, who hit Mac Jones in just 2.17 seconds. So again, not a lot of time there when, the game's on the line. His holding penalty negated a 5-yard Mac Jones scramble. And the only reason I don't have him as number 1 is, like I said, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. First game back after a knee injury. You got to assume he's going to be a little rusty, but a guy that you're going to lean on pretty heavily or have to lean on pretty heavily. Kind of jarring to see how bad he looked in this first game.
He didn't get the first down.
And he didn't get the first down. That's right. Depending on who you look at or who you want.
They had it at first, but I saw an angle the next day that confirmed that he did not. And it made me sad. But not as sad as the ending of the game, maybe so. we're talking about the offensive line, I want to highlight the defensive line.
You flipped it. Yep.
They were not good. No one really lit up the stat sheet with, tackles for loss or anything. If you pull up the game score, they're all towards the bottom. Raheem Mostert ran all over them, especially on the touchdown.
Untouched.
They're just not good. They weren't getting pressure really. Christian Barmore had a really quiet day. So did Lawrence Guy in particular. Just you need more when you have an underrated running back like Raheem Mostert in the backfield, who's one of the fastest guys in the league. They have multiple of the fastest guys in the league. You need to be better, and they weren't. So that stinks.
Yeah, you and I kind of talked. We're texting back and forth during the game where it's like this. Don't get me wrong. I like Raheem Mostert. I think he's a decent little running back, but that's just what it is. This isn't a guy, and the same thing happened obviously week 1 with Kenneth Gainwell for the most part. Like these aren't the Nick Chubbs, the Austin Ecklers, the CMCs of the world. Like these are average running backs that have their moments here and there that you're getting run all over. The guy at the top of the list that you have here in the little picture stands out. Like I don't know what Godshaw's here for, because it feels like he never makes a play at all. Like I feel like one of the guys that they were trying to lean pretty heavily on when they signed him and extended him to be that guy in the middle to stop the run. And he just, to me, doesn't feel like he does anything when he's out there. So that's another one you chalk up for Bill Belichick. What did you see talent wise? And then I think he at one point, one of his press conferences a while back said he's like one of the best interior defensive players that that we have, or like league wide. Something really, really dumb. That old senile Bill Belichick is seeing that maybe we aren't, but he is not a good player and has not been for, this year to start. And, I think for the most of last year for the Patriots, I'm not all that impressed by him.
No, me neither. And I wanted to bring the conversation back to Christian Gonzalez for a sec, because Tyreek Hill spoke about him on like a podcast or like a Twitch stream or something today. Said, I was able to go against the rookie. He's real good, very lengthy corner, had some real good technique and speed about him. While also calling out New England's fans. And at the end of this clip about Gonzalez said, so shout out to New England. So I'm not sure which one it is from the from the guy who has a colored past of abuse and mistreating his family. So
I was gonna say not
getting mixed signals here.
Yeah, I was gonna say not to obviously make not. I don't want to say joke because that's not what I'm trying to do here. Joke of a shitty situation here, but like crazy that Tyreek Hill wants to say New England Patriots fans suck, and then a Dolphins fan ends up killing a guy fighting in the stands. So
yeah, true. And
might want to take a step back there, Tyreek, especially with all the stuff that you listed. Obviously, people know his past and how shady that is. So might want to choose your words a little bit more carefully next time. But it was nice of him to say one good thing about the Patriots and their stud corner.
Yeah. But maybe you should maybe you should sit out of certain discussions. After
exactly. Games. Yep. That's what it gets chalked up to. Like, just take a back seat on this one. You got
and Ryan.
What's up?
We have a consensus number one dud.
We do. I think for the second week in a row.
I will liken it back to a curse.
Yeah, I didn't even. I saw you tweet this out. I did perfect summary of it. Calvin Anderson, the right tackle that played did anything but play right tackle on Sunday night. 1 sack allowed, 3 quarterback hits. That led all offensive linemen, played 74 snaps. All of them a guy you have to lean on because you have nobody else. And again, that goes back, in my opinion, to the construction of the roster and not having a real offensive line out there, especially when you have questions, on Trent Brown and his health and everything. Obviously, he's not the starting right tackle, but you have questions. You need to shore these things up. The sack and all 3 hits came against Andrew Van Ginkel, who's doing his best Jalen Phillips imitation all night long against Calvin Anderson. He was an absolute turnstile out there. And as you said, the number 76 curse lives on with another terrible offensive lineman.
Yeah, but my dumbass tweeted out that it was Vidarian Lowe, I found out. So
he stinks too.
Didn't mean to throw an accidental stray at Vidarian Lowe, but
yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you wear number 76 and you're an offensive lineman on the New England Patriots, you suck. And Calvin Anderson does. And I'll provide some context. Isaiah Wynn sucked. Marshall Newhouse sucked. I don't know if there were any other 76s recently. I'll give Calvin Anderson the benefit of the doubt right now. I think Jermaine Illuminor wore 76 as well. I mean, he was horrible.
He might have, and he was one of the worst, they've had in a while.
Calvin Anderson did not practice much due to injury going into the season. So I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, despite him being number one dud. because he wasn't good. You just got to call a spade a spade.
Fair
But
enough.
I'm going to give him some breathing room because maybe with more reps, maybe with more comfortability, learning the system more, he gets better. Maybe he doesn't.
You hope.
Maybe he's just cursed. But speaking of Trent Brown too, they're going to need him to be healthy and earn those incentives now because he got a pay bump today. So, yeah. Offensive line need more for sure. Need more.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's the reason dumb Patriots fans that want to blame Mac Jones. That's the reason why they stink right now, amongst other things.
Yeah, he's getting pressured like crazy.
Yeah, it's not good. But again, like I'm glad you brought that point up. That same, given the benefit of the doubt, did miss some of the preseason with injuries. But again,
I think his first appearance of practice was literally like late August.
It might have been, yeah. But
like,
again,
really late August.
I chalk that back up to, once again, you did not construct your roster any well enough at that position as a whole, the offensive line, to sustain these injuries. And again, now you have to rely on a guy that missed most of the preseason, like you're doing at left guard. Obviously, you know a little bit more about Cole Strange and what he brings to the table. But again, like the people that are questioning what the problem is here, look to the guys up front and who have not gotten off to a hot start.
They're very much piecing things together. They traded for Wheatley and Lowe late in the offseason, or late in training camp rather. So it's not great right now at times, but they're piecing things together. So I would encourage to try and find optimism to anybody who is struggling to do so. But where are we going next here?
Some of the things that stood out, I don't know. I had a couple of talking points. Mainly, again, we texted about it when it happened. The missed opportunities and the mistakes. Just again, that kind of the DNA of the Patriots right now. Obviously, you have the failing to get the feet in bounds in week one that Kayshon Boutte has happened, and then kind of funny enough, or not funny enough, but interesting that he is the guy that's healthy scratched in this game. You have the Douglas fumble that we can tie into the other point that I was going to have reactions to that, where Demario Douglas, of course, gets fumbled, gets the ball punched out from behind by Bradley Chubb, who's a pretty good defensive player. This isn't a scrub or anything. But in return, Bill Belichick decides to bench him for the remainder of the game. Only had 2 targets, 2 catches, 19 yards, played 6 offensive snaps, which was 8% of the snaps all game. Did get in there for special teams. Bill Belichick in his post-game press conference, when he was asked about, was Douglas benched, or, what went into the decision of him not playing on the offense, he did point out numerous times, we did have him on, returning punts. So, he was out there. I don't get it. This is one, as we saw in week one, and we, heard about in the preseason, one of your most explosive playmakers that you have, maybe the most explosive playmaker you have on offense with what he's given you so far. In a game where you need that, as you mentioned, with how much speed the Dolphins have, I can't get behind the decision to bench the kid. Like, I know it's a rookie thing. The Patriots have done this before, where if you're a rookie, you make a mistake like this, you're going to ride the bench. But to me, I just feel like those days should be gone. Like, you should be playing your best players out there at this point when you're struggling to pick up points, you're struggling to move the ball on offense. The fact that you just bench this kid for a mistake that he really didn't. It's not like he went out there, made a dumb thing, carrying the ball around like it's a loaf of bread or anything like that. He got it punched out from behind. So, can you really blame him too much for that? I don't know. So I just think the penalty of benching him for the rest of the game was a dumb decision. And then defending it by putting him out there for punt and kickoff returns, like, that's more dangerous to me, fumbling the ball, than anything else. So I don't get the logic behind that at all. I don't know if you feel the same way or any different.
I mean, he could have been Gunnar Olszewski, so at least there's that.
True.
It's funny to me how he gets benched after having 2 catches for 19 yards on 6 of his snaps. Don't you think having 2 catches on 6 snaps, is a good start?
You think Mac might be looking for him out there? Yeah.
It's so comical to me that they did this, that even Ramondre Stevenson made a joke about it about a time he got benched his rookie year, not rookie of the year. I think it's crazy, and I think you made a good point. Like, these days need to be over. Like, unless it's an egregious mistake. Like, sure, he could have held onto the ball a little tighter, but like I said, he had 2 catches for 19 yards and played 6 snaps. 1/3 of his snaps early on in the game, he had catches on.
Yep, he was being used.
Give the kid a full game and let him do it. And if he fucks up, and you go from there. But this shouldn't affect anything further for me. That's my biggest takeaway. It's over. It's done with now. It stinks. But if this affects his playing time going forward, I'm not going to be pleased.
I'm just hope it doesn't affect his confidence moving forward. Like, you got to think, as soon as he catches the ball next game, he's got to be thinking in the back of the mind. Maybe that's what the Patriots want. That's obviously what they want. If the result, like you said, after the second catch, you fumble it, you're done. Like he's got to be thinking, oh crap, I can't do this again, or I'm not going to be able to play, which again, you're hurting your offense doing that. And kind of the thing, I'm not going to go through the whole transcript of what Bill Belichick said, but he also had a comment, something along the lines of like, we have a lot of skilled players that we want to get out there. No, you don't. This is probably your top skill player. Like this is the guy that again has the speed, has the ability to make guys miss, as we saw on that catch, where he was able to stop on a dime, come back, and reverse the field. Like this again, they can't harp on it enough. This is a guy that needs to be out there if you want to be at the best that you could possibly be on offense. And benching him is just not going to do yourself any favors. Speaking of not doing yourself any favors, just to kind of go further into the mistakes that have plagued this team. Obviously, we talked a lot about the blocked field goal. That was the good part of the game. Then you end up having the egregious interception by Mack and Devontae Parker. What happens? Some sort of crazy breaking news drop?
BC just got the number 2 player in the class of 2025, and his brother.
So this is more like a personal freak out for you.
Yes. Oh my God.
Else. Okay.
All right. So funny story.
Okay. Story time.
My friend who lives in Long Island, he's driving back there now. Does some freelance photography at a gym this kid works out at. Mm-hmm. This kid, uncommitted. He sees him around. He's like, do you know anything about this James Higgins kid? I'm like, yeah, he's like the number 2 projected player in the 2025 draft class. He's uncommitted. He's the best uncommitted player in his birth year. And I'm like, what if he commits to BC? He was talking Michigan, Notre Dame, visited with them like 2 weeks ago. BC. I'm not going to say I willed it into existence, but his brother's coming with him. His brother decommitted from Harvard, and now he's coming with him to BC. Unbelievable. Unfucking
Eagles fans believable. Listening, you may have heard it here first and get as excited as you did.
Oh, the Boston College Eagles.
I don't follow college hockey, so
Cutter Gauthier, top pick of the Flyers, number 1 incoming class, and then the number 1. I think he'll be the number 1 besides maybe Cole Eisman. I think he's a year ahead. The number 1 player of his birth year, James Higgins, and his brother Michael are Boston College Eagles. Just putting that out there. I want you to put the word out there, the word back up. It's not just this year. It's next year too. I willed it into existence. I talked about it as a joke. Didn't expect him to ever come here. Thought it was, potentially lofty odds. It happened. It happened. Just a quick little hockey tangent. Holy shit. Holy shit.
How do you jump back into Patriots now? You go from that high to
I cut you off, so I will.
It's okay. The lows of the lows of this game. And yeah, I mean, we watched the game, we saw what happened, obviously. But again, like this is the point I wanted to make is mainly like I know you and I differ on this issue, as we talked about and argued about during the game. Wanted to take more positive spin on things and didn't want to look at the doom and gloom of everything. And I know it's early on, 2 games into the year, but like to me, this just has the feeling of what this team is. Like I didn't even touch on. As we know, you have the 3 and out and producing negative 10 yards after the Gonzalez pick, like we talked about. You mentioned it, the 43-yard touchdown to Raheem Mostert, where he literally goes untouched. There wasn't a soul that got a hand on that man, running pretty much right up the gut. And then, again, we talked about this texting during the game, and you can get on the referees all you want for what happened at the end of the game. But the fact that now 2 weeks in a row, you have to kind of rely on some sort of, crazy play or have a crazy play at the end of the game happen. And you have to rely on your left guard. Bad knee and all, again, playing his first game of the year to try to pick up a first down to keep the game alive. Like this is the thing that aggravates me with this team is that these stupid mistakes and these missed opportunities are occurring more and more. It seems like every week, and it leaves me and I'm sure other Patriots fans kind of sitting here wondering, like, is this just what this team is now? Is they're going to make the dumb mistakes and not being able to correct things, and we're going to be in for a long season? Like I said, I feel like you feel differently on this. Maybe you're taking the more positive and kind of wait and see mentality on it. So what's your thought process on, all this stuff that occurred in the game? If you have anything else to add.
I kind of want to chalk it up to like early season mistakes, but like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about these types of things. I don't know. Because I have so much confidence in the team still.
Okay.
So like part of me wants to like be a little worried about this, but like I'll stand on the table right now. They're 0-2, but I still think this team is winning 9 or 10 games.
I think so too. They're going to make up games at the end of the season. You would hope, but
I think these these mistakes can be ironed out. Any season, like a situation like the blocked field goal leading to an interception, like you can't convert on it. That's just like a kick in the balls.
Yep.
But that's unfortunately like just one of those things that happens every once in a while. And it's not something you can like set your watch to.
Fair.
I'm explaining this horribly, but I want my stance to be like, it's early. I think these things are, things you can iron out and hopefully avoid.
Fair enough. I find it funny too that some people that I've seen and heard kind of give the old like, oh, it's the Patriots. They take the first 4 weeks, as an extended preseason. They'll figure it out. Again, like we talked about with you can't keep benching guys for making fumbles or making mistakes like that. To me, those days should be gone too. Of you don't have a talented enough team, or the guy at the helm of it, of Tom Brady. You don't have that guy anymore to be able to cover mistakes early on in the season, where you can get away with saying, first 4 weeks of the year they treat as, or first month they treat as an extended preseason, so they'll figure it out. Like the clock is ticking more, it seems like, on this team than it has been obviously in years prior. So that's kind of where I'm at too. Of like, you can't keep having these games where you make these crucial mistakes, because you're going to get behind the 8 ball and you're not going to be able to dig yourself out like years prior.
Right. Agreed.
Fair enough. And then two, just to kind of hammer home as we finish up the talk from this game before we jump into the week 2 recap of what happened around the league, the Mac Jones situation, again, as I talked about with the him being on my stud side of things, again, outside of the horrendous pick from with Parker, his day was solid. And again, there's been plenty of people across Twitter, whether that's fans, whether that's writers, that have jumped to Mac Jones's aid, and he has made improvements. This was from, I'm going to try to run through them as quickly as possible. But for the couple that I have here, Dom Gonzo 12 on Twitter, he said Mac Jones is the most pressured quarterback in the NFL so far. He's had has had the second lowest time to throw of any quarterback this season, and is tied for the league lead in drops. He had his top 10 in touchdowns, yards, intended air yards, first downs, PFF grade, on target throw percentage, and big time throw percentage. Andrew Callahan had this tweet saying Mac Jones again played well in the face of pressure against Miami, a major shift from last season. Under pressure, I had him for 9 of 13 for 81 yards, with 4 sacks and an 18-yard scramble. Against the blitz, Mac went 7 of 9 for 74 yards and a sack. The one from Cam Garrity on Twitter, Mac Jones is per PFF through 2 weeks, 73.6 overall. That's 12th best in the NFL. 4% big time throw is number 9 in the NFL. Average depth of target, 8.7 yards, is 11th. Passing pressure grades, under pressure, 69 there is 6th. Clean, 69.3 is 20th. Time to throw, 2.01 seconds, 33rd in the NFL there. And then Evan Lazard kind of had the stats from this year to last year. Mac Jones is currently Pro Football Focus's 5th highest graded passer while under pressure the first 2 weeks. This season, completion percentage is 53.6 with 1 touchdown and no picks, a passer rating of 79.6. And again, a Pro Football Focus grade of 72.7 compared to last year. His completion percentage at this point was 42.4. 3 touchdowns, 8 picks, a passer rating of 35.1, and a Pro Football Focus grade of 26.4. And again, that grade for this year is the 5th best in the NFL. So people can blame Mac all they want. I don't know what leg they have to stand on at this point, other than the fact you can make a case. Yeah, week 1, that interception, the pick 6, it may have lost you the game because, of course, you only lose by 1 score. So you're right. And if that doesn't happen, the pick this week, you can maybe get on him 4. Other than that, the guy has played well this season, and I don't get where the blame is still coming from.
Yeah, I think the conversation should start and end with Dom's point. He's the most pressured guy in the league. The second lowest time to throw. Is top 10 in touchdowns, yards, intended yards, first downs, PFF grade, on target throw percentage, and big time throw percentage. Which quite literally translates to better protection, much better Mac. Potentially elite Mac Jones. Which
would be nice to see.
A borderline elite quarterback. It's early. It's 2 weeks. But the numbers he's put up with what he's had to deal with, think about how much better those could be in this hypothetical sense. That is a borderline, if not elite quarterback. I'm not saying like Patrick Mahomes level, but fringe elite.
Yeah, people will hear elite and be like, this guy's crazy, thinking he's up there with the elite of the elite quarterbacks. But he's putting together a solid season so far. He's not the reason they're 0-2, not even close.
Given the circumstances, is pretty impressive. And like we talked about at the start, Like if you're in one of those camps where like you like to nitpick, or you just like to go out to the QB first, or you're a Mac hater, like reevaluate things. Watch the game with a broader scope. I implore you to.
Please, exactly. Yep. If you're the people that didn't watch the preseason and still think Bailey Zappi should be the starting quarterback of this team, like, please get help too. I'll add that as well, because that is not the answer either. Or the one guy I heard listening, as we talked about the other day, Sports Talk Radio, that wanted Malik Cunningham to be the starting quarterback. You, sir,
hear him out.
Really need to get help. That is not the answer either. But he didn't make any good points. It was just, I think they should go with Malik Cunningham. And that was click. End of, it's like, okay, was that a prank call, or was that a realistic talking point that you wanted to discuss? But whatever. Like, again, Mac Jones, can't stress it enough. He has been the guy that has kept you in some of these games. Of course, the defense has been the main reason for that. Of course, so I'm not going to take anything away from them. But your quarterback is towards the bottom of the list of problems that this team is dealing with right now.
Most definitely. I think you summed it up pretty well and did some
Thank you.
Excellent research.
Thank you. Even though you sent me most of these stats on Twitter.
That's okay. We did it together. It's a group effort.
Team
you
effort.
put it in the outline. You do all the outline stuff, and it helps. Shall we preview week 3?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Should we? Because we jumped around last week, and it felt.
I feel like it makes the most sense to stick Patriots, and then do the whole NFL. Because I think going back and forth, like, people might listen to, if we did the recap of the games and then we're like going back to Patriots, it might feel a little clunky.
Fair enough. Okay, I see where you're coming from there, because I was down the opposite side of stick with week 2 and then transition into just in week 3 entirely. But that's a good point. I
don't know. I feel like this just
that's fine. Patriots, and then kind of just stick with the NFL as a whole and group that into its own little segment there.
Yes,
so
yes.
Week 3, then the New York Jets.
3.
What do you have on them?
Oh boy, do I not have Aaron Rodgers, which is something I didn't anticipate coming into this year. The Patriots are -2.5. I would hammer that, and I will. Over under 37 would also hammer that.
Which one, the over or the under?
The over. 2 choices. Yeah, I should have said.
Over. Wow, I would not do that.
I love the Patriots this week. Just gonna get it out of the way now. A Zach Wilson led team. We know they're beatable with Zach Wilson. But Breece Hall is back. Garrett Wilson is motivated. They have Lazard, they have Conklin, they have Randall Cobb, if you're interested in that. And they are the Jets. They will beat the Patriots when they beat the Patriots. Until then, I will assume the Patriots will beat the Jets. Would I be this confident with Aaron Rodgers? Probably not, but I would have picked them to win in that event as well, as you saw if you saw the season preview with our predictions for the schedule, as I hiccup a little bit. Okay, I'm very confident going into this game. I could see it being low scoring. I won't be surprised if it's low scoring, but I think there's going to be some points here, and I think it's going to be exciting despite Zach Wilson being a player on the New York Jets. But the big thing here, although the Cowboys, put up some points, Cowboys, better offense than the Patriots, but the Cowboys showed that this Jets defense is beatable. And when you have a defense that's pretty good but beatable, and you have a lesser quarterback, it makes it a much harder time for them to win. So
I don't know if I'd put the Cowboys in the same stratosphere as the Patriots right
now.
No,
I put them above the Patriots.
I know. I'm just saying
in terms of offense.
Yeah.
Although I think the Patriots will beat them next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Patriots a lot this week, and I'll get to it more in my prediction, but it just comes back. It sounds stupid because we say it every year, but like, they're the Jets. They won't beat the Patriots until they in fact do.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are as lucky comes in this game, because if this was Rodgers playing in this game, obviously you don't know what the Jets would look like if they'd be going into this 2-0 or still 1-1 as they are right now. But the Patriots could have very seriously been looking at 0-4 in my opinion if Rodgers played in this game. But as you said, they do get Zach Wilson, who is up there as the worst quarterback in the NFL in my opinion, because he is not good. And again, maybe it was just that Cowboys defense last week being as good as it is. But he looks lost out there numerous times. Like I said, they don't use, and maybe it's because, they're keeping him on a pitch count or anything like that. But they don't use Breece Hall enough. He himself has already been, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, I don't know if he still has it up or not. I'm sure he deleted it, where he tweeted out the 4 footballs. A lot of people thought that referenced the 4 carries he got in the game against the Cowboys. So maybe using him a little bit more. Dalvin Cook has been really non-existent for this team so far this year. He hasn't done a whole lot outside of that first game, had a couple of carries. But again, maybe that's because they got down so bad in that Cowboys game. But I'm on the flip side from you. You think this is going to be a high scoring game, maybe on one side, as we'll get to in the predictions a little later. I would hammer the under. I think both these defenses are good. I think both these, I mean, the Patriots offense, has been better. But against the Jets defense, of course, we'll have to see. And it all relies again on if the Patriots can protect Mac Jones in this game. I just pulled up the injury report because obviously it came out a little later than we expected. So we don't have it in the outline here to go off of. A lot of injuries on that offensive line again, as we expected for the Patriots. Trent Brown with his concussion was limited today. Michael Onwenu with his ankle, he was limited today. City So, concussion, he was limited, and Cole Strange with his knee injury was limited. I don't either. That's why I think I've said it.
Assume Sal, but I don't know.
I've said it differently numerous times. And then also Devon Godshaw had a non-injury related. He did not practice. Marcus Jones did not practice again with a shoulder injury. Not Marcus Jones again. First time he's been on it. Jonathan Jones with his ankle. That's who I was thinking of. He was limited. So a lot of big names, and Devontae Parker as well with a knee injury. He was limited. A lot of big names on that. I would stick with the under just for me because I don't think I think this is going to be a gross game. We've seen.
You think so?
I think so. We've seen 2 gross games with these two teams before last year. The week 8 recap, really quick. Patriots, of course, won that game 22-17. More so the Jets defense or the Jets offense lost them for. That was the game Zach Wilson was picked off 3 times, twice by Devin McCourty. Mac only had 194 yards passing in that game, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, and 6 sacks. Ramondre Stevenson went for 16 rushes and 71 yards. Hunter Henry, funny enough, had 1 catch in both of these matchups, 1 catch for 22 yards. Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne both had 0 receptions in the first game with 1 target each, which is great. Yep. Love to see that. You done? Any more?
No more.
Okay, good.
Just wanted to get that point across.
Fair enough.
Matt Patricia, woohoo!
Yeah, way to go. You're great, man. But yeah, that was the theme too. Patriots have struggled to protect Mac Jones this year. They struggled to protect him in the 2 matchups last year because in the Week 11 game, as we know, that was the walk-off win for Marcus Jones. Mac was sacked 6 times in that game as well. 246 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 6 sacks. That game was
bizarre.
That game was gross. I don't think this game's going to be as gross as that. I totally forgot that game even
happened until I saw it in the outline this morning.
Well, that's why week 1 of the regular season for the Jets, it was like, oh, wow, Jets fans finally know what it feels like to win a game on a walk-off punt return. So good for them, I guess. But yeah, 2 gross games last year. I think it's going to be more of the same, probably closer to the week 8 matchup. These teams obviously still trying to feel some things out, but I think the defenses for both sides are pretty evenly matched. It's all going to, of course, come down to can the Patriots protect Mac Jones? Probably not. I could very well see 6 sacks again if their offensive line is in shambles, but I think the Patriots offense, of course, leaps and bounds better than the Jets, particularly at the quarterback position. So I think the Patriots will win it, but I think it'll be a close, boring at times game where you're sitting there going, what am I watching on my TV screen right now? These two teams do not look like they know what they're doing. But hopefully that's going to happen more for the Jets than it will for the Patriots.
Yeah, to me, this is a get-right game. The offense clicks more. Hopefully the offensive line is a little more healthy. And I think the source of the Jets scoring, unfortunately for Garrett Wilson, hope I don't regret this, kind of knock on wood, comes on the ground. I wouldn't have felt this way going into this week if Raheem Mostert didn't have a little bit of a field day. Yeah. Now you deal with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook admittedly hasn't gone off yet because they're kind of figuring that out, I think, on the fly. And Breece Hall has looked pretty good for the most part.
I don't want to cut you off, so apologies.
That big run,
but looking today, I don't, and maybe it's a get-right game for the Jets on the ground. I don't think they have a rushing touchdown this season, which with those 2 backs kind of scares me a little bit. And again, as you said, the Patriots struggling defensively to stop the run. So
the run defense isn't good. And then you have the other side of the ball with the offensive line. Quinnen Williams frightens me. John Franklin Myers frightens me. Will McDonald, however he's involved, the first-round pick, edge rusher, frightens me. So yeah, it's, of course, as it's been every week this year, you face a really good Eagles defensive front, arguably the best in the league so far. Jalen Carter, rookie of the year, is looking good, as is Christian Gonzalez, to be fair. But I lost my train of thought. I got caught up talking about rookie of the year. What was I saying?
Basically along the lines of like protect Mac Jones from those guys because they are dangerous and they will hurt your quarterback time and time again if you let them.
Yeah, there's a theme, like good defensive fronts, you got to be ready and struggle at times. So if they're going to be putting points up on the ground, like I think they will, that's going to be bleeding a lot of time. So you got to make your time a little wiser and, manage the clock better than them, put points on the board. Hopefully we see more of the same. Kendrick Bourne involved, Hunter Henry, whoever else. Maybe Zeke can get going. Maybe this is the day. But there's a formula here. I'm not sure if there's an exact formula, but if the Patriots are prepared, and I think they will, I don't see a chance they lose this game. Do I think it is 100% a win? No, but I am pretty confident, especially coming into this 0-2, that they're going to scheme something up to win.
I would hope so. If this game is close and they
if we see
thing, it is.
Or more interceptions from Zach Wilson again, I will not be surprised.
No, not in the slightest. If there's a prop bet on that, I would hammer the over because I think the Patriots have a pretty good shot of making him look like. He does it himself, but the fact that he has never played the position before, doesn't know what he's doing out there. But that is kind of how he operates to begin with. So, just be another Sunday for him.
Score predictions. I'm going.
You have the over. 30. I have the under.
217 Patriots.
Maybe I'm just respecting the Jets defense more than you are, because 30 Patriots. Like I said, the Patriots offense has looked better. So
the Patriots are gonna get going, and it's gonna continue into Dallas, where they beat Dallas on the road.
Might be the boldest prediction anyone has had all season. That happens. Super
Ryan, I was talking to Matt before this. We did, after the schedule release, I think in the spring, our schedule predictions, and I picked us to beat the Cowboys. I'm sticking by it. Might be blind faith, but I'm sticking by it.
I don't know how after the first.
There is going to be
the Jets
a point.
Haven't played.
There is going to be a point with the Cowboys where the wheels go off a little bit. I think it
usually happens in November, December, right around end of the season.
The Patriots have one or two surprise wins in them this year. Maybe it's against the Bills.
I don't disagree with that statement.
After they struggled in week 1, bounce back against a shitty Raiders team. The Patriots have one or two surprise wins in them this season. And I think one of them comes against the Cowboys. And this Jets game, if executed correctly, should be a jumping off point to give them the confidence and the swagger going into Dallas to go and beat them on their home field. 30-17 Patriots.
As a fan, I hope you're right. But I don't know. I don't have as much faith in this team right now as you do. But like I said, you are sticking to be the more positive, which is good. We need to have some differing opinions when it comes to some things with this team. As I said, I'm going with the under. I think this game's going to be disgusting. Patriots will win at 18-10, kind of a weird football score, but it's going to be a weird game. Like you said, you're probably going to see a ton of picks from Zach Wilson, which might not be the weirdest thing on the planet. But again, it all depends if the Patriots can get healthy, maybe get some protection and not have a makeshift line for Mac Jones going into this game. If they're healthy and the line is set and it's good, maybe the Patriots do drop 30 on him. And like you said, maybe this will be a get-right game for them. They start to take off a little bit. Maybe the run game gets going a little bit more. Stevenson gets going. As you said, maybe Zeke gets involved a little bit more. But as of right now, I still think it's a work in progress for both these teams. The Patriots, look, they need a win. So they're going to come out with everything they got. And hopefully that will be enough to take down a Jets team that is probably going to be searching for, its second win of the year for quite some time, because they do not look like a good football team on the offensive side of the ball. And I think the Patriots can take advantage of that.
No, they do not, sir. No, they do not. Week 2.
Yep.
Eagles, Vikings, Thursday Night Football. Kirk Cousins threw 4 touchdown passes and lost.
The fact that my Kirk Cousins, I took the over on a half an interception for Kirk Cousins because it's prime time and you would think Kirk Cousins would stink like he usually does in prime time. The fact that the Vikings had 4 turnovers, I think it was, or it might have been 5 at the end of the game. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. Let's say it was 4 because I think that's what it was. The fact that he did not have one of them for an interception and that cost me money was unbelievable to me. Again, prime time Kirk Cousins, you would think that is a slam dunk home run bet. And it proved not to be because Kirk Cousins has played pretty well so far this season, minus the fumbles. Outside of that, it's been a pretty solid quarterback so far. But the Vikings find themselves 0-2 because their defense is trash.
Yeah, it's one of those games like coming in. It's like if the Vikings lose, trouble in paradise. Maybe teams are, people are talking about trading Kirk Cousins if this keeps going. If the Eagles lose, they almost lost to the Patriots. They lose to the Vikings. who are admittedly a good team, but are struggling out of the gate. It was an interesting game going in. Solid game. I mean, you could definitely get worse. We've seen many worse Thursday night football games.
The Thursday night football games have been good so far.
Yeah, but hopefully that continues this year because it usually isn't the case. DeAndre Swift went crazy mode in this game.
Yes, he did.
28 rushes, 175 yards, and a touchdown. Devontae Smith becoming one of my favorite receivers in the league, 4 catches, 5 targets, 131 yards. They're freaking good, man. And they won this game without A.J. Brown really doing much.
Yeah, I was going to say Devonta Smith.
Like we said earlier, sorry to cut you off with the defensive line. The defensive line is fucking awesome.
They're very good. The only thing I was going to say, you brought up A.J. Brown, talking about Devonta Smith, quite literally has pushed A.J. Brown to the sideline, so much so that he is fighting with his quarterback on the sideline in a game that they won. So that is interesting to see. You talk about trouble in paradise. The Eagles get another win on the year. They're 2-0. And A.J. Brown
the Patriots, in my opinion.
He should have been a Patriot before. We've been down that road many times.
Somebody tweeted out a Justin Jefferson to the Patriots hypothetical with 2 first-round picks and something else. That's
FanDuel
crazy.
Did that.
Agreed.
I said it on that tweet. The Patriots would never do that. They'd see 2 first-round picks for Justin Jefferson and say, "Nope, we'll give you a first and like a 4th and a 5th. Take it or leave it."
We'll take a couple offensive tackles with those picks.
Well, the Vikings did make a trade tonight.
They
I don't
did.
know if you saw it before we jumped on here.
I literally meant to do the same thing, and I almost forgot to bring it up when we were talking about this game. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Cam Akers, surprisingly, is a Viking. Maybe the Vikings are unhappy with the production of Alexander Mattison so far, a guy that I don't know if you saw this, was getting, again, just a-hole NFL fans getting death threats and racist comments thrown at him because he fumbled the ball a couple times and cost teams their fantasy football win, which grow up. Like, I know we joke about fantasy football as I just did with, and losing bets with Kirk Cousins, but in the end, the guy's a human being. Like, let's not be threatening to kill the guy and tell him to go kill himself because he had a couple of drop balls during the game. Like, that's completely egregious behavior.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so fucked up how shit like that always happens. Way too much.
Nope.
In any sport, it's not just football. It's just a brutal reality. Wanted to highlight Matt's prediction in the chat. He thinks 23-19 Pats. So we'll keep that on record.
Yep.
Don't forget that, Matt. We'll give you some credit if you get that right. Yeah, just don't fucking do that to people. Like, I don't care if it's race or what, if it's a white guy or a black guy. Just don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like, have some fucking decency. Packers Falcons. Packers suffered their first loss of the year. Falcons edged this one out. Didn't quite have the 2-headed monster that they had in week 1 with Algier and Robinson, but Bijan Robinson was still very good.
He's legit.
He might already be the most agile player in the league, and this is a league with Tyreek Hill. I'm talking like quick cuts, like deep cuts, like really digging his feet in. Like, in terms of like quick agility, it's definitely Tyreek Hill. But in terms of quick cuts and precision, like Bijan Robinson's, some of these jukes are some of the best jukes I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, his ability to make guys miss is ridiculous.
People weren't kidding when they were saying he was the best pure talent in college football last year. He's a ridiculous football player, and he's only going to get better. The Falcons squeeze this one out, but you say they squeeze it out, and as you have noted in the outline here, you could also say the Packers blew it because they were up 24-12.
Yeah, this was a weird game, and like going even further into it, because I didn't catch a lot of this game outside of the red zone highlights that I was watching. So like looking when I went to just trying to talk, find talking points for this game. The fact that it was a 1-point game, like obviously great win for the Falcons to come back. As you mentioned, yeah, exactly. For once, there you go. Throw a little dig in there. The Packers, as you said, give it away. Like, this is a game you could maybe knock the Falcons a little bit for, because they dominated in the stat sheets. Like, first downs, it was 27-17 in favor of the Falcons. Rushing yards was 211-84. Net passing yards was 235-140 in favor. Like, all these stats are in favor of the Falcons. So I'm not going to repeat that every time. Total yards, 446-224. Third down conversions, Atlanta was 6 for 15. The Packers were 3 for 9. Fourth down conversions, the Falcons were 3 for 4 and the Packers were 0 for 1. And then time of possession, the Falcons dominated as well. 36 minutes and 15 seconds to the Packers 23-45. And the Falcons only won by 1 point. So back to the drawing board for the Packers, because the game is they probably should have won, should have been able to hold on to. But in the end, the Falcons make a couple more plays late and get the win.
I will say earlier on too, so far I was wrong about Jordan Love. I thought he was going to
He's looked
struggle more.
very
He's
good.
good.
Yeah.
He's more composed. He's been in the system for a little while, so I'm glad for his sake he is. But right now he's proven me wrong. Maybe the Packers will, but a tough loss, a heartbreaker. Can't blow a lead like that, even with a rookie quarterback. Bills 38, Raiders 10. I don't know how much weight you can put into a get right game after 1 week, but you can say this was the get right game across the league of the week.
No,
the
absolutely.
Bills put out a statement.
Yeah, for sure.
The 38-10 win.
Yep.
Like, just a phenomenal performance. Josh Allen was almost perfect. 31 of 37, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Didn't even do much on the ground, which is unlike him. And they still won by 28 points.
Yeah, see, I wonder if and maybe it's because I was going to say Dalvin Cook, that James Cook has looked so good for them so far. 17 rushes and 123 yards in this game. Damian Harris gets into the end zone for 7 carries, 33 yards and a touchdown. Shout out to him. Latavius Murray, who I didn't even know played for the Bills. 6 carries for him, 22 yards and a rushing touchdown. I wonder if the Bills are maybe just trying to say, hey, Josh, just play quarterback for us. You don't have to run guys over anymore. So, and again, it's 38-10. What's up?
Not like a guy with huge injury concerns, but maybe that's for,
that too.
Limiting the bumps and bruises for a potentially, hopefully long playoff run for them.
Absolutely. But yeah, that was, in a game where you said it, they blow them out by 28 points. It's surprising to see Josh Allen only have 3 rushes for 7 yards, but maybe that's by design. They want to run him a little bit less, maybe focus more on just, being smart with the football. Don't have these 4 interception games. And like you said, this was one. Yeah, that was bad. I had because I have him as my fantasy football quarterback. All my buddies were like, "Oh, you get the guy with the Madden curse this year. Congratulations!" And he kind of reversed that a little bit in week 2, so that was good to see. From again, was what we talked about. It doesn't matter in the end, a fantasy football standpoint of things.
Yeah. Although he's on the Bills, I very much like Josh Allen.
I do too. He's one of those guys, like, you hate the team he plays for, but you could definitely root for him himself because he seems like a pro's pro and pretty good all around guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love listening to him on Part of My Take. So yeah, 38-10. Ravens and Bengals. The Bengals are 0-2. Maybe the most divisive team so far this year. Baltimore squeaks one out in a solid divisional matchup. 2 divisional matchups in a row for the Bengals to start the year. Lamar pretty solid. Didn't look like the word on fire, but was played pretty safely well. If that's a football term that's ever been used. No picks, 2 touchdowns, 237 yards to the air, and 24 for 33. Did his thing on the ground, 12 carries for 54 yards. Gus Edwards, first day as RB1.
Solid.
Justice Hill's now hurt. 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Zay Flowers, the king, 4 catches for 62 yards. They made Nelson Aguilar look good. He had a touchdown. Hilarious touchdown celebration. 5 catches for 63 and 1. And Mark Andrews came back and got in the end zone. 5 catches for 45 yards. The Ravens are good. They're good.
It's crazy how Lamar, kind of something we've talked about with our own quarterback, but crazy Lamar, he's obviously always had Mark Andrews, so a nice weapon there, but you get him some receivers and can spread the ball around a little bit. Looks half decent. You talk about a bounce back.
He's calm too.
Calm. He looks more poised, out there. I was gonna say, you talk about a bounce back game for Josh Allen. There were not as many questions about Lamar Jackson, but a couple of fumbles last week. Some poor decision making when he was running with the football. A bounce back game for him. 12 rushes, 54 yards as well to add to the passing stats as you already mentioned. A solid game from him, and kind of a redemption or revenge game, you could say, for the Ravens against the Bengals, obviously knocking them out of the playoffs a year ago in that crazy game. Good all around game for the Ravens as they look legit, and the Bengals are left with more questions than answers. I have here in the outline, the biggest storyline. Joe Burrow has re-aggravated his calf injury from the preseason, leaving them with, I don't even know who their backup is, so I'm not going to try to come up with a guy on the spot.
Trevor Siemian.
Oh God, is he still in the league?
Yeah, I believe it's him. They might have Brendan Allen still too. T. Higgins was good, 8 catches for 89 yards. So that's a silver lining. And Jamar Chase wants them to air it out a little bit more, and I don't really blame him because, especially, the Bengals are in a position right now where they're not going to go in and just blow the doors off of teams these next couple of games. I don't think they're going to have to earn these wins, and it's a league like teams are going to be more motivated to beat you when you're down.
Absolutely. Yep.
Doesn't matter what team you are. Like teams are going to want to come in, whether they're a favorite to beat you or not, and beat you. Like people are going to, you're a contender. There's a bigger spotlight on your back. And I'm with it with Jamar Chase. 5 catches on 8 targets for 31 yards.
Yeah,
I'd want Joe Burrow to air the ball out too. We've seen him do it before. We see Jamar Chase make spectacular plays. And T. Higgins showed, like the offense is still alive. And that's why I'm not out.
There is light at the end of the tunnel for sure.
They like the Bengals have the same approach every year in the preseason. They don't always play their starters. And they go in kind of like unpredictably. I don't know if that's the word. Once they get going, they'll get going. And if they do it this week, they'll be back to being the Bengals. That's where I'm at. But they're very divisive right now. And the Rams are missing Cooper Kupp, but look at what Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell are doing.
What I was going to say.
A Rams game that playing good enough.
Yeah.
And Kyron Williams is solid. Like this isn't a slam dunk like it could have been like going into the season. The Rams are scrappy right now.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say
it's a Super Bowl rematch.
Yep.
Super Bowl rematch.
Absolutely.
I'm sure the Rams would like to win again. So the Bengals have a target on their back. Big time. For sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. This game was fun.
Until the end.
Seahawks 37, Lions 31. I had Lions minus 4.5, so that was tough. So hoping they could pull it out in overtime. I had the over
in this game, so that was good for me.
But dude, it was Scott Hansen who was mentioning it. It was like two matchups ago. They had like 80 points between the two, and then their most recent one was like 60 plus.
Yeah, they always.
When the Seahawks and Lions play, mental note over, no matter what it is, over no matter what. It's like you put a sticky note on your bulletin board or something. Seahawks Lions over no matter what. Your computer at work. Seahawks Lions over no matter what. Fun game, really fun game. Jared Goff, very good in the loss. Jared Goff has really just become a fun quarterback to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy to see what he's become in Detroit. Like Dan Campbell, I mean, he was okay for McVay, but what Dan Campbell has been able to get out of him, and I obviously don't know the Lions offensive coordinator, so he's, give him credit there too. But it is crazy to see what Jared Goff, what people thought of him before, myself included, of like, this guy stinks, to being a pretty functioning, pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, he completed 80% of his passes. He just doesn't throw many picks. He threw one in this game, but I think he threw single digit picks last year. 28 for 35, 323, 3 and 1, sacked twice. Jared Goff is a pretty damn good quarterback. And Geno Smith, man, like the story continues for Geno Smith.
It looked like Geno Smith from last year.
And Kenneth Walker almost pissed me off early on with that. He tried to like tumble over and miss. And I needed him to get in the end zone, and he did it twice. So shout out to Kenneth Walker for that. Yep. But yeah, it was just a fun game. I mean, the Seahawks just got it done. It just really came down to it.
As we said, though, the ending sucked. Or as I said, like definitely a hold on that game-winning touchdown for Tyler Lockett.
Oh yeah, I almost
Aiden Hutchinson was absolutely destroyed on that play, and the Lions had every right to be pissed off at how that game ended. It kind of falls into the fact that a game that was so entertaining as this one of the best games of the week. It sucks that is how it ends on a clear what should have been called a hold. And Lions have one taken from him.
Yeah, Dave Montgomery, amongst a million injuries across the league, gets hurt. Sure. Bam Knight was elevated from the practice squad, so maybe pick up Bam Knight on your fantasy team if you feel so inclined. But yeah, I don't think this is one like. If I'm the Seahawks, I'm not getting too high about this. You got to get excited, but if I'm the Lions, I'm not getting too low. Like these are still good teams. They're going to be in the mix of the playoffs. So
absolutely.
Colts 31, Texans 20. Did not expect this game to be this high scoring.
I didn't expect it to be as entertaining as it turned out to be. Like Colts got off to a hot start. In too. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say get off to a hot start, and then as you said, the bevy of injuries that occur. Anthony Richardson for the second week in a row has to leave with an injury.
They're like it's like they're setting him up to get hurt. He's kind of doing
absolutely.
Bit,
yep, absolutely.
He had 2 touchdowns too before he left. Like left the game, just brutal. But Gunnar Minshew was like all you could really ask for Gunnar Minshew. Only threw 4 incompletions, 171 yards, a touchdown, no picks. CJ Stroud, I know it's the second game, but best game of his career.
Look,
That's got to be a big confidence booster.
Yeah.
Speaking of pressured QBs earlier, he's the third most. They had 4 offensive linemen starters not play. So
you're
to throw
telling
for
me it could be worse,
384
Patriots
yards,
fans? Could be worse.
it could be worse.
I wonder
in
if
some
Colts
ways more
or
than others.
not Colts fans. I wonder if Texans fans are being like, "Oh, CJ Stroud's not the guy 2 games in because his offensive line sucks."
Dude, I mean, to miss 4 starters and complete 30 passes and throw for 384 yards with no picks, that's
He'll
pretty
be right
nuts.
in the ball game, yeah.
Pretty nuts. CJ Stroud's looking pretty good. Nico Collins looked really good. Tank Dell gets in the end zone. There was so much talk after the draft about how, they wanted to be on the same team. They are, and they connected here. Like we said, going into the season, like the Texans are going to have a work in progress here, but they're getting guys that are fun.
Yeah,
Nico
they're
Collins is
entertaining,
coming
for
into his
sure.
own. Tank Dell is fun. Damian Pierce, when he's on his game, is fun. Derek Stingley is very good. Jalen Petrie is very good. Will Anderson is going to be very good.
Texans are building something.
They're building something slowly but surely. That's the Nick Caserio difference. But as you have noted here, Colts defense, 6 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 8 QB hits, forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. That's pretty good.
Pretty solid day. Maybe it's just, again, the fact that you're playing the Texans, but on the flip side, as you just said, the Texans aren't as bad as they used to be. Like, I know they're 0-2, but there is plenty of hope on that offense. Yeah, absolutely.
A very slow climb, but they'll get there. Probably take a couple years, but Chiefs 17, Jaguars 9. A potential game of the week was not the game.
One of the
week.
worst ones, surprisingly.
To put it out right like that, it was not
one of the grosser games of the week. And who would have thought that with these 2 teams? Especially when you hear Kelsey and I was gonna say Chandler Jones and Chris Jones both are back for the Chiefs. You're thinking like, oh, here we go, Chiefs. They're gonna figure some things out. They did not.
No, their defense is good, much like the Colts. 4 sacks, 7 QB hits, 4 tackles for loss, 6 pass deflections. Chris Jones is very much still a good football player. That's important. Patrick Mahomes, solid game, threw 1 pick, but threw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. A little bit on the ground. Isaiah Pacheco had a solid day. Sky Moore, might that be the first touchdown of his career? I don't even remember him ever score last year.
Or it might have been the second. The first was it him or was it Rice that had their first touchdown in the Super Bowl? Okay, I got the 2 of them confused.
Part of my take made a great point. Isaiah Pacheco and Sky Moore needs to change numbers.
I can't think of either one of the numbers off the top of my head.
Isaiah Pacheco was 10. 6? Sky Moore is 24.
Oh.
They need to change numbers.
Way off. Yeah.
They literally have opposite position popular numbers. Switch it up. Maybe that'll make Sky Moore play better because I don't know. I think that was his first touchdown, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
And a big thing for the Chiefs, Calvin Ridley, 2 for 8, 32 yards. Really disappointing to see him step out of bounds on what should have been 2 touchdowns because I bet on his over touchdown total this year at over 6.5. So that's done.
Oh, he's got what, 2 so far this year?
I think
after week 1, or do you have 1 week 1? I don't know why.
I think 1.
I don't know why I thought he had 2. But yeah, that does stink for you from a betting standpoint. I mean, watching some of that game, I don't know how injured he is going into week 3, but he looked banged up after this game or during this game. So that might be something to monitor for the Jaguars. Nice to see Christian Kirk, who was kind of the forgotten man in week 1 with the new offensive weapons, goes for 11 and 110 in the losing effort. So that's something to build off of if you're the Jaguars. But like you said, the defense of the Chiefs, kind of crazy with obviously we know what kind of offense the Chiefs bring to the table. Their defense is what really stole the show. Just to go off of more of the stats that you already listed, 74 rushing yards allowed to the Jaguars, 197 net passing yards for 271 total yards, 3 fumbles forced, a 3 for 12 third down conversion rate for the Jaguars, and they held the Jags to just 28 minutes and 11 seconds in the time of possession. So Chiefs defense, maybe what has been seen as over the years, a little bit of the weakness of their team. They are much better, at least in my opinion. I feel like I'm one of those people that maybe underestimates them a little bit. Look pretty solid in this game, holding the Jags to just 9 points.
Most definitely. Yep. Titans 27, Chargers 24 in overtime. Chargers fans, if you're looking for the game to look back on when Brandon Staley almost definitely gets fired at this rate.
I'm praying
Look
it
no
happens.
further.
Like, I want the Chargers to be so good. I like a lot of their players, like a lot of their weapons they have.
Justin
they should be
Herbert,
so
I
much
think,
better
has
than they
not
are.
thrown a single pick, and I think his last 6 games, and they're 0-2.
I was gonna say,
Start
has
the
he won
season.
any of them? Yeah.
Like, I forget what the stat was. I think it was 6 games. He's like 7, or maybe it wasn't 6 games. It was something like that. Like his last few games, he hasn't thrown a pick, and now they're 0-2 to start with part of those games. I should have the stat. But anywho, it's just a waste. A waste.
Literally. Yep. That's exactly what it is. Like, again, it falls back to, like I said about the Vikings, the Chargers defense. That's what's going to make this game coming up, as we'll get to the previews and predictions in a second. With the Chargers playing the Vikings, it's 2 horrendous defenses. Like, the Chargers should very well, could very well be 2-0. Yeah, if they had a good defense,
a good defensive line, and Kenneth Murray's good, but this is what the Chargers need. You know who would be perfect for this Chargers offense?
Who?
Kyle Shanahan. Clone.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Clone Kyle Shanahan. That's your coach. The Chargers would be in the Super Bowl. It'd be Chargers and 49ers.
I don't doubt it. Yeah.
This game, WASTE, waste.
Yep.
Waste.
You spent any time on this game, I apologize. Like, again, just to show how bad the defense for the Chargers was and possibly is. When you only force 4 incompletions when Ryan Tannehill is facing you, you're in for a bad day. Like, that's a guy you should be able to take advantage of, like we saw in week 1. He's not a good quarterback, in my opinion. And the fact that, again, he had 4 incompletions and had a rating of 123.3 with 1 touchdown on the ground and in the air. So 2 touchdowns, do the math. Not a good day for the Chargers defense after they got smoked by Tua in week 1. Now they're letting Ryan Tannehill look like a serviceable quarterback.
Yeah. And you got to give Tannehill some credit, made some good throws for sure.
Fair.
But Ryan, I really need to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Are they legit?
27-17. They're playing the Bears.
Or do the Bears suck?
But I'm not saying it outright, but the Bucs are good. Not
Baker
great.
Mayfield has not been Baker Mayfield yet. Like, he has.
The
You want to
Bucs
talk about
good.
An efficient quarterback who might be playing with a chip on his shoulder a little bit, and Mike Evans has come out of left field. Like, he puts together these, like, 1 or 2 of these games a year, and he's been excellent so far this year. And then, Rachaad White's been a nice little running back too for them. 17 rushes, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Like, they are
things are clicking.
pretty complete. Dude. Yeah, their defense is pretty good too. So
let's see, how it goes going forward. But maybe we were wrong about the Bucs. But
potentially
another team.
They did play the Bears.
Yeah,
who suck.
That's what gives me some pause. The Bears are terrible. And their offensive or defensive coordinator resigned today, and they're in shambles.
Justin Fields is calling out the offensive coordinator, calling out code. I don't think you saw that, or
they're walking it back, calling it back in. The Bears are in shambles. It just must be a truly miserable existence. I feel bad for them.
I feel bad for the people that bet on Justin Fields to win MVP. Like, when I heard that was where most of the bets were going.
I'm glad I didn't draft him this year.
I stupidly did. I took the cheese on that one in my $100 league. Yikes. Yay me. Yeah, that could have been worse. I could have taken Joe Burrow. That wouldn't have been a smart decision, at least right now. I have more faith in Joe Burrow. I do too. Don't get me wrong. But yeah.
Another defensive show out. Shaq Barrett and Christian Izien had the interceptions. Don't even know who that is, but Shaq Barrett converted on one. 2 picks, 6 sacks, 10 QB hits, and 7 pass deflections. The Bucs might be good. Might be. We'll have to wait and see on that. Might be. Baker Mayfield. Maybe the difference. Tom Brady must have passed on some juju. I don't know. But the Giants saved me in Survivor. Almost lost to the Arizona Cardinals. Won 31-28. The Giants roared back in the second half. I made a lot of money on them live betting when they were down. So that's cool. There you go. Yeah, I just took like everything I could find. I don't know why. I just feel like they were going to win. Because you like the Giants. I do, but like, this is the thing we differ on. You like the Giants, I don't. I was like, it's just, there's no way they lose this game, right? Like, they're playing the fucking Cardinals. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Did they win, or did the like this to me screamed the age-old typical? Lost. Yeah, but the Cardinals came out of halftime going, "Shit, we want the number 1 pick. We got to lose this game somehow." Yes, but
Like,
Daniel Jones in the second half
he did play
from
good.
the
I'll
Pete
give him
Traeger
credit.
show.
Yep.
Threw for 250 plus yards, 50 plus passing yards, threw multiple touchdowns, rushed for a touchdown, and didn't turn over the ball.
He did look
Pretty
very
good.
good in the second half. And again, do you credit that to Daniel Jones being good? Or do you credit that to the Cardinals doing the complete opposite of everything they did well in the first half? Like, it was a little bit of both, exactly. Because it was mind-blowing. Like, how you can look so good in one half and then come out and just look like you've never played football. Like, James Conner, I don't know how many touches he got in the second half. But I feel like they didn't really use him a ton after he was so good in that first half. But again, like you said, the Giants, they did do plenty and more to come out and win that game in the second half, including having Saquon go off. Unfortunately, though, he's out with, what is it, an ankle injury? I saw.
Yeah,
They already ruled him out for
bad
Thursday Night
game
Football.
for that to happen. The
yeah.
worst team in the league, and you lose your running back for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hyatt, first big play of the career for him. Darren Waller leads the league in receiving yards among his tight ends. And Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton had good days as well. And the Giants pull it out. Does this inspire confidence if you're a Giants fan? I hope not. I hope not,
No.
because he said he was going to call in on his way back to Long Island, but good friend of mine, coworker Mike, said he's going to call in and talk about it. He's been all about like back on the train, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
Back in the New York groove.
I wouldn't be good reference.
Thank you.
I wouldn't be that excited. I really wouldn't be.
Get stomped by a division rival week 1 and then just barely beat the Cardinals in a game, because part of me is convinced, hey, we're the Cardinals. We want to suck. Let's go out and lose that game somehow.
Yeah, like I don't know how you can feel super happy if you're the Giants.
Nope. And then don't the Giants have somebody good this week coming up too that they're playing on the road too?
The 49ers.
Yeah. Good luck. That's right. That's the Thursday night game. Yeah.
Good luck to you, friends.
Yeah.
But good segue. The 49ers beat the Rams 30-23. Maybe if the Rams keep it close, the Giants can do the same. Maybe win. I doubt it. The 49ers 2-0 as expected. Christian McCaffrey was in fact Christian McCaffrey. Deebo Samuel was in fact Deebo Samuel. George Kittle hasn't in fact been George Kittle. But that hasn't really mattered. We talked about it going into this year. The 49ers are going to win a lot of football games if Brock Purdy plays safe, efficient football, and he gets it to his big guns. And he's done that. All you need if you're the 49ers. That is how they are set up.
Just be a
passenger. And they got a big play on defense from Diamador Lenoir.
Crazy name.
Yes. Every time I see his name, I think of Doug Dimmadome.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Deion Sanders was talking about Doug Dimmadome this week with his hat. Puka Nacua. Elite?
Maybe. What's he got, like 50 targets or whatever it was? No, 30 catches or something. It's not, I can't remember the stat.
20 targets for Puka Nacua. That would be crazy if it was Cooper Kupp getting 20 targets.
Absolutely.
Puka Nacua. The 1-2 punch of the future, maybe with Cooper Kupp, because kid's pretty ridiculous.
Throw Tutu Atwell in there too for a trifecta. Like,
how about the Rams? The Rams are fascinating.
They're scrappy.
Now. They are. Sure. They fascinate me. This team is something else.
It's a
team they almost pull it out.
And they have not sucked so far.
They screwed a lot of bettors with that meaningless field goal, but they're scrappy, man. They're scrappy. They're a good team now. Yeah. We'll see if that lasts. No, not a good team. New York Jets. We talked about
Jets suck.
Yes, they lost 30-10 to the Cowboys, who are in fact good. Have scored 70 points in their first 2 games, but they will lose to the Patriots, unfortunately, for Cowboys fans. You know, if you're the Jets, you might want to get Breece Hall going after, running for 83 yards in week 1, having a good game. You might want to get him going.
Get it going in week 4, though.
Especially when you have a terrible quarterback.
Yep.
That
was the big thing for me, too. Like, the fact that I obviously knew he wasn't going to do a ton in the run department, looking up the stats, but the fact that he had you don't even try to throw him the ball to see if he can do anything, get your offense going. I know obviously Zach Wilson probably didn't have any time to throw when Micah Parsons was in his back pocket all game long.
Connor McDermott let up 5 or 6 QB pressures.
Jesus Christ. That's bad.
He sucks.
He's terrible. Yep. Talk about a horrible offensive lineman. But yeah, that was the big thing for me. And like, again, we talked about it already, that it seems like Breece Hall is a little pissed off with his usage. I can't say I blame him. Like, you have this legit weapon in your offense. You should be finding ways to get him the ball.
Yeah, like Garrett Wilson, dude, has 83 yards on 2 catches. Imagine what they could have done if they could have actually got the ball in his hands more often than twice. 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, 5 tackles for loss, and 5 QB hits. Micah Parsons forces and recovers a fumble.
That was all over the field.
The Cowboys dominate as expected. I wish for my anxiety that I picked them in Survivor this week instead, or this past week instead of the Giants. But now I'm taking the Cowboys this week against the Cardinals. Don't think I'll have to worry about that.
No, you should be. That should be a lock.
One of the games that should have been a dud was, in fact, not. The Commanders and Broncos.
Bet the under, dude. 35 for me here.
33. Don't trust Big Cat. I'm sorry. I love Big Cat, but he's just not great. He's not great.
No, this was one that was I'll have to reassess and rethink my morals and everything here, because this game was, I mean, you see it on the schedule. You shouldn't think Commanders and Broncos is going to be a shootout. So I'm not going to knock the guy. That's what I mean. I'm not going to knock the guy too much, but this was a wild game right up until the end.
It was. And Russell Wilson looked good for the first time in a while, even though he got sacked 7 times. Yeah. He won 18 for 32, 308, 3 touchdowns and a pick, 56 yards on 6 rushes. You have noted here the Hail Mary missed 2-point conversion was one of the craziest endings we've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this, I can't remember if this game was on TV or this was one of the ones they just kept looking on a red zone. So I was watching, I can't remember what game I was watching late in the day, but they said we're going to take a break because I thought this game was over. I wasn't watching a ton of it. So when they go, we're going to take a break to one of the craziest endings of week 2, I'm like, there's no way that it's the Commanders and Broncos game. And sure enough, Russell Wilson is able to pinball a Hail Mary around. And then the fact that they just couldn't get the 2-point conversion to go, I feel like it's just so Broncos over the last couple of years, just these kind of wacky and crazy and end up dumb plays. But yeah, one of, like you said, the crazier ones that we have had in a while. Can't think of one of recent memory outside of that's is it Hopkins or Adams who had the crazy catch with the stickum gloves a couple years back. That was more. That was probably more than a couple years back. I think it was Hopkins, wasn't it? You can't remember the game I'm talking about. I'm not doing a good job selling it anyway. But yeah, one of the crazier games we've seen in a while.
For sure. Ryan, subject to change. Sam Howell was good. He's good. That's why I was going to ask. The 2-0 Commanders legit because their offense is pretty solid with Bieniemy, and as you said, their defense was able to sack. I know the defense gave up 33 points, but 7 sacks, 14 quarterback hits, 5 tackles for losses, 4 pass breakups, a pick, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery to go along with, like you said, a pretty solid day from Sam Howell. 2-0 Commanders. Yeah, I mean,
are they legit?
Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, now Chase Young back. They have dogs on the defensive line, and they have Emmanuel Forbes now. Maybe the Commanders are legit. Maybe this is a team me in particular was wrong about.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. It's early.
True.
Or overreactions, perhaps.
Yep.
Man, these Monday Night Football games fucking suck.
They blow. Yep.
Oh, and the curse continues. We have Kyler Murray last year, the last Monday Night Football game. Aaron Rodgers
this year.
Now Nick Chubb. And I feel like there might be one last year we might be missing as well, or something else that happened.
Damar Hamlin was Monday night, wasn't it?
Damar Hamlin, that was the other one.
I couldn't remember if that was Monday or Sunday Night Football, but
yes. Yep. The Saints-Panthers game was just entirely unexciting.
You expect that with those two teams playing.
This was the most. It was the most 13-10, 20-17 game ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have ridiculous Barnum and Bailey circus level fumbles and interceptions in the Browns-Steelers game. And you have Nick Chubb suffer one of the more hard to watch injuries you'll see in a while. Mm-hmm. And that's saying a lot because we do get these injuries every once in a while, and they startle the masses. I hope if they're going to do double headers, I don't know how long this is going to last, how often it's going to be. I hope they're just better than this one because these games sucked.
Yeah, I didn't know they were doing the double headers.
Jones and Jerome Ford were the highlights.
Yeah. Who's
Deshaun Watson sucks too.
He's washed 100%. Guys, he's
awesome.
He's cooked, and then it's just a psychopath now on the field where he's pulling 2 offensive face mask penalties, shoving a referee, and then after the game denying that he even did it.
Yeah, and then Dov
Like,
Kleeman tweeting out
yeah,
pictures
I
like,
saw that
"Oh,
today too. Yep, here
yeah,
it
you see."
is.
I responded to him. I was like, "Yeah,
That's what. Yeah,
good thing you showed the fucking video. You showed the wrong video.
yeah.
Dov
Here's
Kleeman's
him
a robot, not a
shoving a
real person."
referee. Just kidding.
Um,
He's shoving a
we,
player out of bounds. Like,
we must rid society of Dov Kleeman. We must rid it of Dov Kleeman.
he's good for some
Um,
things.
no, don't care.
Fair enough.
Hate the man. Pray on his
Oh,
downfall.
oh God, that's tough.
He's not a real person. It doesn't even matter. He doesn't show his
Fair,
face.
fair
Like,
enough.
pervert alert.
An AI.
These games sucked.
Yeah, these are
They
horrible.
sucked. I don't
The
even
thing
want to talk about it
I was
anymore.
gonna say
Anything you
about
have to say, because I have nothing left to say.
No, the only thing I was going to bring up was more so on the doubleheader aspect itself, because I didn't know they were doing this. And when because we were all at work Sunday talking about it, we're like, why wouldn't you do a doubleheader opening week if you're going to do anything? And one of the guys in the break room with us was like, oh, this is something they're doing every other week. And then we looked and there's 2 Monday night games again this week, I'm pretty sure. So it's like, I don't know what the decision process was and how they're going about this. I don't know if they're going to have 2 Monday night games every week or every couple of weeks. So bizarre decision by the NFL. And then again, to put these two teams on Monday Night Football, like the Browns and Steelers at least makes a little bit of sense, like two division rivals that are usually good for a fight or two or something crazy happening. I know obviously Saints and Panthers are division rivals too. But plenty of people should have known going into that game it was going to be terrible, because it was.
They shouldn't do the doubleheader. If they do the doubleheader, one of them should be a Toy Story game like they're doing in October. Do a Toy Story game every week. I'm very much looking forward to that. October 1st. You know the Toy Story game?
No, a Toy Story? Are you talking about the Nickelodeon games?
They're doing a Toy Story game this year where the game is going to be shown Nickelodeon style, like Toy Story animated.
Oh, so like hockey did with that.
Yes, the
okay.
Backyard Greens.
I did
That's
not
going to
know
be
that.
awesome. Do a Toy Story game every week.
That is pretty cool.
Do a slime time game every week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it for week 2.
Mhm.
Shall we get into our week 3 pick?
Sure. Try to run through them very quickly with obviously hockey and. All right, fair enough. As you said, the Thursday night game tomorrow night, Giants and 49ers, the 1-1 Giants against the 2-0 49ers. This was an easy one. It's the 49ers are the better team. When the Giants come out and spot the Cardinals 20 points last week, I think you're going to be in trouble. And the 49ers, as I said, better overall team. The Giants don't have Saquon. They're going to rely on Matt Breida. Not a recipe for success. Maybe Daniel Jones has another comeback in him, but I doubt it, because the 49ers are not going to blow a 20-point lead if they're spotted one. First of the 1 o'clock games, the 1-1 Titans at the 1-1 Browns. I went back and forth on this one, but the Browns, of course, not having Nick Chubb, they did something we did not touch on. They brought back Kareem Hunt. So see if he gets involved in this game at all. I doubt it. Probably not going to get him up to speed that quickly. So maybe you'll see more of Ford in this one. But I think the Titans, on the road could surprise the Browns, as you just said. We talked about Deshaun Watson has not looked good. We both think he is washed. I think the Titans are good for another surprise victory this week on the road. 2-0 Falcons at the 1-1 Lions. Similar reasons to the 49ers and Giants game. I think the Lions are the better overall team. They're probably going to be pissed off after how last week ended, so they're going to want to come out and stomp the Falcons. Are going to win. I think they will. 2-0 Saints at the 1-1 Packers. Although the Saints are 2-0, they are pretty boring to watch. I like Jordan Love, as we talked about, and the Packers just a little bit more in this game. And maybe if Aaron Jones comes back, that helps that offense out. Same thing with Christian Watson. The 0-2 Broncos against the 2-0 Dolphins. This one just screams absolute bloodbath in favor of the Dolphins, because the Broncos are not that good. And as we know, the Dolphins, they are pretty good, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Look for Tua to maybe make a name for another AFC Player of the Week title with, if he puts up a good game in this one. The one we talked about a little bit as well, the 0-2 Chargers against the 0-2 Vikings. I would hammer the over in this game, whatever it ends up being, because both these defenses stink. Both offenses are good. Justin Herbert's gotten off to a good start, as has Kirk Cousins, as you mentioned earlier. Two very prolific, scorers, offenses. Keenan Allen coming off a great week. We know what Justin Jefferson is. I'm going to go with the Chargers, though. I think a little bit of desperation there for them on the road. Think they win that one. 1-1 Bills, the 2-0 Commanders. This one might be a more entertaining game, as we just talked about, with how good the Commanders have looked. But I think the Bills just all around more talent. Josh Allen coming off, as we talked about, a big week last week. We'll look to build off of that. He gets the win on the road with the Bills winning. 0-2 Texans against the 1-1 Jaguars. We talked about the Texans there. Better than they have been previously, but still up and coming. So I think the Jaguars, much like who did I just say? The Chargers coming off a tough loss, and the Lions particularly as well. And the Chargers the Jaguars will be a little upset with how the Chiefs game went last week. They take down the Texans in the second to last 1 o'clock game. And then the final one, the 1-1 Colts against the 2-0 Ravens, especially if Anthony Richardson does not play in this one, whether he does or whether he doesn't, it's all Ravens for me. Better all around team. But if he does play, Lamar Jackson versus Anthony Richardson, two similar style quarterbacks, will be very fun to watch.
Did you see the comparison thing today they were asked about?
I did
Or
not.
Lamar was? He's like talking about how someone asked about like people comparing Anthony Richardson to him and like Cam Newton. He's like, I'm 26, man. Like talking like, what are you comparing people to me? I'm only 26.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
which is crazy. Lamar Jackson, we are both 25 years old, and he looks at least 30 to me.
He does
it's
look
just astonishing how much older he looks than we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sticking with his team. I'm sticking with the Ravens in that one. The first of the 4:00 games. 0-2 Panthers at 1-1 Seahawks. Should be the Seahawks. Better all-around team. They should stomp the Panthers in this one to send them to 0-3.
Yeah, I'll say this right now. Just get ahead of it. I was wrong about the Panthers. I think I predicted them 6 wins. I don't know if they win 6 games this year.
Their defense is okay, but like again, they're kind of up.
Man. Bryce Young. Looks entirely unconfident.
I was going to say their offense is a massive work in progress.
He is a drone out there. He lined up behind his guard.
That's right. He landed up in the wrong spot.
I saw that this morning. Out there. He doesn't look confident at all. Besides that awesome run he had.
Not great for Carolina, but still a work in progress. We'll have to wait and see.
Not the B word yet, but if he keeps this up, he might be approaching B word territory.
Oh, that's tough. We'll wait and see on that. I heard today that for our market, from a TV and a watching standpoint, this is the game that's going to be on the one and only late game for us. It'll be the Bears.
At least, I thought you were talking about the Panthers Seahawks. I was like, at least
no, Bears and Chiefs. What's up? You'd rather watch the Seahawks? Is that what you said?
I was going to say, at least we get to watch the Seahawks. I thought you were talking about the game before.
No, I heard coming back from golfing today, Zolak and Bertrand said that the Bears and the Chiefs will be the game that we and the New England market get to watch, I think, on CBS. 0-2 Bears, 1-1 Chiefs. If you're taking the Bears in this one, good luck to you. It's going to be the Chiefs all the way. This is going to be a blowout because the Bears stink, as we know. And already trouble in paradise with defensive coordinators, as you said, resigning and the quarterback calling out the coaching staff. Not great. 2-0 Cowboys at the 0-2 Cardinals. As you said, this is a game that should be a lock for the Cowboys. Better all-around team. The Cardinals, as I said, are looking to get the number 1 overall pick, so this will be a sure loss there. The Sunday night game, Steelers at Raiders, kind of crazy. The Steelers get back-to-back primetime games. But again, it is somewhat of a rivalry, two historic franchises. I'm taking the Raiders in this one. A home team. And the Steelers don't impress me all that much. I know they had their comeback, but we didn't even touch on it. They set a record, or they made history in this game. They were the first team, or had the lowest number of total yards, I think, in the fourth quarter, to come back in that game. I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, it was the fewest yards game, which was -7 in the fourth quarter by a team that overcame a fourth quarter deficit to win this century. That was from Jason Starrett on Twitter. So the Steelers made pretty gross history in that game against the Browns. I'm taking the Raiders. Jimmy G, Devontae Adams looked pretty good last week. Righting the ship a little bit after, not a terrible week 1, but definitely, not up to his standards. So I'm taking the Raiders. The first of the 2 Monday night games, Eagles and Bucks, where we talked about how good the Bucks have looked so far. Maybe a game that's going to be more entertaining than we initially thought it would be. Only one team can come out still 2-0, are still undefeated. I'm taking the Eagles as that team. Better all-around team, better defense, and I think A.J. Brown is primed to bounce back in this one. But should be a very fun matchup between him and, of course, Mike Evans, who's gotten off to a hot start, as we talked about. And then the second of the Monday night games, this one I have a little bit of an asterisk on. It's the 1-1 Rams against the 0-2 Bengals. If Joe Burrow does not play, I'm taking the Rams. We talked about them. They're scrappy. I think they, kind of maybe come out with something to prove this year after a bad year last year. Maybe some people like us not high on them. If Burrow plays, though, I think the Bengals, they need to win. They need to get right game. It'll be tough, but I think, the Bengals will pull it out. Right now, though, I'm going off of the fact that Burrow is not playing, so I'm going to take the Rams.
Yeah, totally understandable.
Which would send the Bengals to a surprising 0-3 to start the year, and not great. Maybe the sky will be falling for some people in Cincinnati.
Yep. You were 9-6 last week. I was 8-7.
That's right. I didn't even. 13. Yeah, thank you for doing that.
16. We'll see where it goes next week. Make sure to note that condition. With the last game. It's 49ers. No Saquon. Come on. Don't overthink it. It's 49ers. Titans, Browns. The Browns showed me that they are bad. And now Nick Chubb is hurt. The Titans might be better than I give them credit for. Still think they're around the 7-9 win range team, but Maybe they'll be scrappy this year. The Lions, they're going to beat the Falcons. Let's be real. Unless the Falcons tear it up on the ground, the Lions are going to be able to outscore them. That offense is good enough. Packers Saints, I like the Packers. I'm not going to doubt them. They've proven me wrong so far. And the Saints stunk like shit. They're the worst 2-0 team in football. So yeah, fuck them. The Packers are going to win. Dolphins and Broncos. The Broncos also stink despite putting up some points against the Commanders. But I'm going with the Dolphins. Good enough offense. Still don't love Russell Wilson. I like the Dolphins to win at home. I'm going Vikings and Chargers. Vikings. Maybe a high scoring game. I don't know. The vibes just feel bad with the Chargers. Justin Herbert's playing good, but it's just they're not turning into wins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel good about them winning against another team that can put up points. Their defense isn't good, like you mentioned. I'm going Vikings in a close game. High scoring game. Bills, Commanders. This is where the luck runs out. Commanders get humbled a little bit and lose to the Bills. Could see them losing by a decent amount, to be honest. Even though they're on the road. Texans and Jaguars. It's the Jaguars. Not going to overthink this one. Texans showed us something. Jaguars didn't. So we'll see. Maybe this is close. Maybe an AFC South stinker. We've seen plenty of those over the years.
For sure.
Sure have. Colts, Ravens. It's the Ravens. Ravens look good. Have some injury troubles as usual, but they're winning football games. They're better than the Colts. Anthony Richardson lends to that even further. Seahawks, Panthers. The Panthers, like I said, they suck. It's Seahawks all day. Seahawks do not suck right now. Bears suck. Chiefs, come on. Cowboys, come on. It's the Cardinals. Let's be real. It's
whole lot of come on games this week.
Hey, come on. Like let's be real here. These are
together.
all locks. These are all locks. Stone cold locks. I'm going with the Steelers and the Steelers Raiders. I like this to be a low scoring game where someone wins ugly. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm going to go Steelers just off of vibes. Eagles, Bucks. Bucks are good, but they're not the Eagles quite yet. Probably never will be. I don't know why I even mentioned the quite yet part. That was kind of a shot. The Eagles are going to win this game. Let's be real.
Let them enjoy their 2-0. I don't take shots at them.
Sorry. Rams, Bengals, same thing. Contingent on Burrow playing or not, but I'm going Bengals if he's playing.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to ask you real quick
the board
to finish up football because we talked about it a lot that they're two very similar teams. Would you be surprised at all if that Chargers-Vikings game ends in a tie?
No, I wouldn't.
With how dumb those two teams have looked at times and how they operate at times, like it would not surprise me if like the Chargers have a lead late, they blow it, Vikings get like a last-second field goal, touchdown to send it to overtime, and then both teams just start turning the ball over like crazy or going 3-and-out in overtime because they have been very dumb at times, both of them this year.
That would be hilarious if they tied.
Yeah,
be a hilarious first tie of the season. But yes, that will wrap up football, as you mentioned. The Bruins did what the Red Sox couldn't. Give us a news drop before we record.
Yeah, it's true.
Brad Marchand has been named captain of the Boston Bruins at long last. 15 years as a Bruin, gets the C in his chest. The C meme to Justin Wilson.
You can see the future.
True. The prank last year where they gave him, or a couple years ago where they faked it out and then gave it to Bergeron. Brad Marchand willingly and deservedly is giving the C, and the haters are sick.
Yeah, not great for them.
27th captain ever. Well,
I feel like
very happy.
Absolutely. This may be the least surprise. I mean, we talked about it when obviously Bergeron retired, who we thought it was going to be. Maybe there was a slight chance they go McAvoy just for the longevity of it. Maybe get crazy with somebody else, but it was mainly those two guys, Marchand and McAvoy. Maybe the least surprising news of the offseason that it ends up being Marchand, and as you said, well deserved.
The funny thing is, they tweeted out a video of pasta before they tweeted the picture of the C and then the video. I was like,
"Oh, did they?" I didn't even. I was on the golf course when you texted me.
Once I saw the C, I was like, "Are they going to give Pastrnak the captainship?"
That would.
I was like, "Holy shit!" Because Pastrnak is a quintessential assistant captain.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been crazy. It should have been McAvoy if not. But yeah, that would have been wild. But I might have been the only person thinking that. But I was like,
what are they up to?
It's funny. Marina Marr pointed this out. Every time I mention her name, I almost say Molnar. But now that she's married, she takes on her husband's name, so I got to get used to that. Marina Marr tweeted out. The thing is like 63 plus 37 equals 100. Now it's 100 minus 37 without Bergeron equals 63, and now he's the captain. That's poetry right there. It makes sense with Marchand and Bergeron being the dynamic duo, the dance partners at the wedding, everything they did. We could talk for hours about it if we wanted to. But we don't have time for that.
No.
It is so fitting that it goes from Bergeron to Marchand. It couldn't have gone any other way. And that's not a slight to McAvoy.
No,
couldn't have gone any other way.
I was just thinking of it. The only way it could have been better, or just from a funnier standpoint, like if there was some way you get them all together and Bergeron kind of has just a regular jersey with the C on it, and he goes to like give it to Marchand, and then they're like, oh wait, I'm going to McAvoy, and then kind of like, so I feel like that might be cheesy, but
or do like
a little bit of a fake out, like they did with obviously Bergeron.
I mean, with a mini hoop, and like Chara, who's the previous captain, has the mini hoop, and Bergeron dunks on him over and then gives the jersey to McAvoy. They do the fake dunk prank.
I didn't know where you're going with that one, but all right.
That would have been a weird one.
Tied that one in. Okay,
I don't know. I just came up with that off the dome. But yeah, Charlie McAvoy, David Pastrnak given the A's. It was interesting to see them mention that, because are they abandoning the rotating A? Like, is Brandon Carlo going to get it? Is Charlie Coyle going to get it? Maybe Lindholm, Grzelcyk. Like, are they just doing 2 A's all year? Like, no,
I was going to ask you about what your thought on that was, because it was funny. I was, like I said, I was on the course with my grandfather when you texted me that day, and I told him, like, oh, they named Marchand the captain. He goes, oh, that's interesting, because he was under the assumption that maybe they go, like I said, with McAvoy as well. But he said it makes sense for all the reasons we just mentioned. He was the most deserving guy. And they'll wait, obviously, until Marchand retires to give it to McAvoy. But then I kind of said the same thing to him, like, all right, now who do you go with as alternate captains? Like, McAvoy's always going to be one of them. Do you go Pastrnak? Do you go Coyle? Maybe Carlo at times, and he kind of said that, like, oh, they'll switch to it because they can obviously do that with alternate captains. But that is interesting that you bring that up. That I've never seen, a team, not that you follow a lot of teams, but specifically go out there and name like, hey, these are also our 2 alternate captains, like you said. I did find that a little strange as well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's really interesting, and like Lucic is at the front of promotional material. Like, you imagine Lucic will be in center stage in that, but. I think how they did it made a lot of sense. And the jerseys. When the leaks came out of those jerseys on a rack and that goal was looking drab, I was like, these suck. Don't really like them. Love the logo. Don't love the sparkly gold.
Yeah, I hate the sparkly gold.
Food for thought. The Golden Knights incorporated the sparkly gold into their jersey last year and won the cup. Food for thought.
I did, yeah. So you said this the other day, but
that
team was also loaded.
I like it. I really, really like it, actually.
I like the design of the jerseys, but I like, just again, nitpicking. I can't get by the sparkly gold stuff. Like, that to me just makes me think too much of the Golden Knights. Like, kind of come up with your own thing. But other than that, like, again, from a nitpicking standpoint, like, they do look clean outside of that.
They're going to pop on the ice.
That's the thing, too. We talked about that.
That's the evaluator.
Yeah, whatever jersey they had either last year or a couple of years. Was it the Winter Classic one that we were talking about? We were like, the stock photo of it doesn't look all that great. Yeah. And then you see the yellow on the ice. We talked about it at the time. We're like, oh, that actually did look really, really good. So wait and see mode with the jerseys.
Right, but the highlight is the third jersey. The third jersey is a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
They nailed that jersey. And
they did.
Classy of the Bruins. Any purchases after September 17th for any Bruins fans that don't know, if you want the C on your jersey, they will arrange that for you. So
I did not know that.
I like that athletes do that now. Roquan Smith did that when he changed his number, like the number swap. I like that teams and athletes do that. That's a cool gesture.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing I saw mentioned is Marchand's C is just white and doesn't have the gold around it. Kind of should put the gold around the C to match everything. It looks a little better. Someone made a Photoshop of that. I got to say, if there's one I don't like, it's the away jersey. Love the home, love the alternate. The away, not super high on. But again, I think it'll look better when it pops. It'll glow a little bit more on the ice.
Yeah, the away one needs a little bit more up top. Like, it needs some sort of, I can't remember who it was. It might have been.
Put the Pooh Bear on the shoulder.
Yeah, that, or just like some sort of piping around, like give it some color up top. Like, I know obviously all white for the away, but it might have been Connor Ryan that said that, or somebody else had that same thought on Twitter. I saw that was like, it needs to have something color-wise.
And just for any Brad Marchand haters listening, big head hockey, as I was scrolling a little bit when we were talking football, this is everyone with more points than Brad Marchand in the last decade. Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, Nathan McKinnon, 4, Alex Ovechkin,
5,
and Leon Draisaitl.
6.
That is it.
All right. I was a couple off.
That's it.
Not surprising. Like with the
Pretty
dominance
nuts.
that he has had throughout his career.
Brad Marchand is elite, and now he's a captain.
Mhm.
Added to the Hall of Fame resume,
Sure.
as he's got one.
I think he
Other league news.
Absolutely.
Actually, might as well go to Bruin stuff first. Training camp is starting. Typical training camp schedule. Not going to go into all of that. First preseason game will be Sunday at 5 against the Rangers. And Jim Montgomery talked a little bit today. He said, we're not changing much of how we play. We'll want to play fast. There's some areas we think we can play faster, and we think there's areas we can be more physical. Typical kind of stuff, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Trent Frederick is expected to play mostly the wing, so
That's interesting.
there was some opportunity at center, but with the addition of Morgan Geeky, I imagine he's going to take up more of that center time with this quote now than Frederick. Looked comfortable on the right last year, has played on the left. Fine with that. And about Brad Marchand as captain, he said, I would say he's ours, and we're happy to have him. We didn't concern ourselves with outside opinion or their thoughts. We love what we have, and so do our fans. So backing up his guy. Love to see it.
Good to see. Absolutely.
Good to see. Across the league, the Mike Babcock fiasco is over.
It has come and gone in the blink of an eye.
And Jarmo Kekalainen and John Davidson are on the hot seat more than anyone in the NHL now. Hot in the outline, in bold, and in all caps.
Nice touch. Yep.
Graphic design is my passion. Their seat is scalding hot because this could have been avoided if they're like, hey, it's Mike Babcock. Maybe we shouldn't do this. And he's looking through rookies' phones and veterans' phones. And
we talked about that at the time. Like, why
it's an invasion of privacy. It's an
Yeah.
invasion of privacy. You don't know if there's stuff you don't want. I saw someone mention a good point. What if you see, what if there's a player in the closet and you have pictures of them with?
That's a great point. I didn't even think of that.
Like that is a reason enough to not look through someone's photos. You could potentially out them without publicly outing them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just completely lose the locker room.
Personal stuff.
Yeah.
Lose the locker room. Doing it to rookies. There was one rookie brought over. They looked through the photos, brought him over to his house for lunch. Didn't even have lunch. Sent the kid packing.
That's nice. What a scumbag, Mike Babcock.
He is the fucking worst. And he's gone. This better highlight the fact that the NHL is the ultimate retread league.
I was just going to say that. We talked about that at the time. Yeah.
Retread league.
Yep. With him, like him, Tortorella, guys like that, where it's like, all right, they get shit
Teams are trying to bring Joel Quenneville back when he knowingly covered up the Kyle Beach situation.
That's terrible.
Like, why? Why? Because you know what?
Alienate your fan base. That's
all that matters.
Yep. It's a results-based business.
Fucking nuts. And Pascal Vincent has been with the league, or been with the Blue Jackets for years. Now he finally gets to be head coach. So good for him. Because going with an outside hire at this point would be freaking bizarre. Trouble in paradise in Columbus. If they don't, beef up and at least get close to the playoffs, it's all getting torn down.
Oh, it's getting
They traded for Ivan Provorov. They signed and trade for Damon Severson. They locked him up for 8 years. They drafted Adam Fantilli, 3rd overall. They need to be good. And if they're not, it's over. It's getting torn down. I'm calling it. It's a lock. There is no fucking way if they miss the playoffs that Kekalainen and Davidson both aren't gone. Maybe not as much Davidson because he's much higher up. You don't see that happen as much. But this whole thing is largely his responsibility too.
Yeah.
And his ending to his tenure with the Rangers a few years ago when they had that rebuild note came out wasn't the best. Not the guy with the best reputation as a higher level executive.
He's not.
They need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Especially for a team, you're not in a good hockey market. So you need to be good.
Yeah, your interest will die very quickly.
Yes.
If there is any to begin with.
You just signed Johnny Gaudreau last summer.
Yep.
My God.
That's the thing too. Mess. If you're him, you got to be like, what the fuck did I just get myself into? If this is what's going on here, this is where I give that contract a couple years. He'll be like, I want out.
Yeah, fuck, man. What a brutal situation. Other notes: Kalen Addison, due to limited cap space, signs a 1-year re-up as an RFA with the Minnesota Wild, $825K. Pretty good in sheltered minutes last year. We'll see if he gets a bump or Brock Faber does next year. Tanner Pearson in a 2025 third round pick were sent to Montreal yesterday for Casey DeSmith. Ever since the Erik Karlsson trade, it was expected that Casey DeSmith will be flipped, as the Canadians have Jake Gallen, Samuel Montembeault, and Northeastern's own Caden Primo in the net. One of them will have to be in the AHL. Tanner Pearson, you're paying a decent contract in, but you ship in 1.8 out into Smith. And if you're the Canadians, you get a third round pick for your troubles. So that's a nice little win for the Canadians.
Yep.
Tanner Pearson might still have a little bit left too. And the Canucks really fucked up some injury things Tanner Pearson had to deal with over the last few years, and that relationship was bound to end. So getting rid of him was a good move by them. Sever the ties. Trevor Zegras and the Anaheim Ducks are in the same place on a 3-year term, but not on money. Trevor Zegras currently unsigned. Got to figure that out. Jamie Drysdale, his agent Dave Gagne, is currently in Anaheim, as far as I know. They said yesterday, trying to get a deal done. No specifics like the Zegras situation, but in the same boat. They got to figure some things out. Two of their potential biggest pieces of their future for a team that's going to be bad. If they can't get Zegras and Drysdale signed before the season, it'll be even worse. William Nylander will not go into the new season without an extension, and they're trying him out at center. And this truly makes no sense.
No.
You have Austin Matthews, pure center. Drafted him as a center, pure goal scorer. John Tavares.
Yeah.
Extremely good on faceoffs. Can't put him on the wing. So what, are you going to put him at third line center? Like,
well, that's what I was going to say. Do you want to try to...
He played center a little bit in juniors. It makes no sense.
No.
Especially for the production levels of Tavares and Matthews. Like, William Nylander was phenomenal last year on the wing.
Take a hit. Absolutely.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and it's really bizarre. But he's not going into the year with an extension. Neither will Mark Scheifele or Connor Hellebuck. See what happens with those guys. Mark Scheifele never formally requested a trade, as I think Pierre LeBrun pointed out last night. So maybe they mend fences and figure something out. Maybe Hellebuck stays long term, because nobody wants to trade for him and nobody wants to give him a huge extension. So maybe in the end they all end up staying. That would be wild.
Yeah,
and the Flames are trying to figure out some things as well. We found out Colorado went after Mikael Backlund. They might be forced to let Elias Lindholm walk, it sounds like, which would suck for them. But I don't know. I feel like they could trade him. I don't really know where the letting him walk stuff would come from, but I feel like they could trade him maybe to the Bruins if they could somehow scrounge assets and cap space. Little scoop, boots on the ground. This is not all a scoop, but it is out there that Philadelphia tried to trade for Shane Pinto, who the Ottawa Senators currently do not have enough cap space to sign. About $800K. He's going to garner about $2.5-3 million. I asked around and found out that the Ottawa Senators are trying to swing a blockbuster for Scott Lawton or Travis Konechny. Matthew Joseph has been included in discussions for salary purposes. Dominic Kubalik's name has come up. Eric Brandstrom's name has come up. And, the Pinto stuff was out there, but I also heard that. And as they mentioned on Insider Trading, they don't want to trade him. That is also what I was told. So if you needed any more confirmation outside of what the insider said on TSN, I was also told the same from a friend in Ottawa. That'd be pretty nuts. And the earliest I can remember with the Senators having interest in Lawton was June. So maybe they get something done for Scott Lawton and the Flyers tear it down even more. That would be pretty wild. Don't know if it happens before the season, but they've talked about it. Shane Pinto is going nowhere. But the Senators are going to have to move that Matthew Joseph contract if they want to sign him, it looks like, or something else up their sleeve. Know who's a guy who would make a good Bruin, Ryan?
Is this a rhetorical question or should I answer it?
It's the next guy in the outline.
Oh, that's what I was. Yeah, I didn't want to know if you wanted me to give it away or if you wanted me to just like play along and be like, who do you think, Mike?
It is
one. That road. Who do you think? Who do you have in mind?
It is one who was almost a Bruin years ago before he signed his current deal. Steven Stamkos.
I do that in a heartbeat.
Am I counting on him becoming a UFA? Absolutely fucking not.
No.
But he said outright he was disappointed that they didn't have any talks. But Julian Breezewalk came out and said, they're hoping to work something out. Of course, it's Steven Stamkos, multiple Stanley Cup champion now, one of the
Goes
best goal
without
scorers.
saying. Yeah.
One of the best goal scorers the last 2 decades. Former first overall pick, face of the franchise. My God, if the Bruins could get Steven Stamkos after all these years, I would be over the moon. But I'm not counting on. But it's an interesting thing to monitor. If they can't figure something out, they're not going to trade him because they're trying to contend. Maybe there is that small chance that he gets frustrated or they don't get something done, and Steven Stamkos hits the open market next summer, because we know
that would be wild.
The Bruins will have space and will have a need at center.
I'm gonna hate that though. Get all your hopes up and then
I know, but I'm not counting on it. But there is an avenue where it happens.
Not ready for heartbreak again.
And think of it.
Through it so many times this offseason.
There is no team that has more long-term deals than the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Fair. Yep.
It's not going to be easy.
They are in trouble.
Kucherov already makes a lot. Point already makes a lot. They've locked up Cirelli, Chernak, Nick Paul, Sergachev, Vasilevsky makes a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, it's something to think about. And now Brandon Hagel a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about. They lost Alex Killorn. They lost Andre Palat. Maybe Steven Stamkos.
These things happen. Yep.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
Another guy who could be traded. Christian Dvorak will not be healthy before November and could be traded. That was put out there today. And that is it for hockey. So little breadcrumbs out there.
The guy's not healthy. Who's gonna, you just go off a skill alone that you would trade for?
Yeah, I would not trade for Christian Dvorak. His advanced metrics are not good. He has not been good for about 3 or 4 years. Puts up a little bit of points, but not much.
That also doesn't bode well if I'm approaching you with, hey, Mike, I have this guy that you might be interested in. He's not healthy.
He's not healthy though, yeah.
But would you like to trade for him? You might
not
be able
good
to
in 3 years.
Yeah, he stinks and he's not healthy. You might not be able to use him. If he plays for
he'll
you,
put up 35 points. He'll put up 35 points and probably get hurt.
Yeah. What do you want for him? Can I get a high draft pick? Cool, thanks.
It's like that meme, like the little box or whatever on the side of the road. It's like, doesn't work, but could be fun to fix.
Yeah.
that is Christian Dvorak.
That's no offense, in a nutshell. All right.
That's how it is, buddy. On to the Red Sox, as they rudely announced this after we recorded.
I don't care what time they did it, as long as they did it and it got
It's
done.
old news now, but it has to be addressed. Chaim Bloom is no longer a member of the Red Sox organization.
Yeah, for the people that saw the TikTok I made, I tried to summarize my thoughts as best as I could. Riding a high. That's good because I thought I was kind of all over the map with it. I'm sure I'll be all over the map with it here as well. But yes, as you said, Chaim Bloom is done. No longer the chief baseball officer of the Boston Red Sox. His tenure finishes. These numbers might be a little different because I have the updated numbers here. Finishes his Red Sox tenure at 239 wins, 267 losses.
69 wins, not 39 wins.
Did I say 39? We're off to a great start here. Like I said, we're going to be all over the map and we're not off to doing numbers correctly. The 2020 season, as we know, the COVID shortened year, he finishes 24-36, fifth in the AL East. That immaculate 2021 season where they go 90-72, second in the AL East, go all the way to the ALCS and lose to the Astros.
92-70, buddy. You're all over the place with your numbers.
Yeah, it's not good. I have them right in front of me too. It's not like I'm trying to remember them on the spot. So we're late in the show. This is how it goes usually when these episodes tend to run long. The 2022 season, I'm going to use my finger like a third grader and read it like this. They went 78-84. That was fifth best in the American League East, and they are currently on pace to finish fifth in the AL East this year at 75 and now 78 after getting absolutely pantsed by the Rangers today. I'm going to update that right now. John Henry had his comments on the move. He said, quote, "While parting ways," if people have missed this, just going to run through it really quick. Said, quote, "While parting ways is not taking lightly, today signals a new direction for our club." Principal owner John Henry said in a statement with the press release, "Our organization has significant expectations on field, and while Chaim's efforts in revitalizing our baseball infrastructure have helped to set the stage for the future, we will today begin a search for a new leadership. Everyone who knows Chaim has a deep appreciation."
Cough.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Everyone that knows Chaim has a deep appreciation and respect for the kind of person he is. His time with us will always be marked by his professionalism, integrity, and unwavering respect for our club and its legacy. Sam Kennedy had a comment on the move itself. This is from Steve Adams. This article on MLB Trade Rumors said Red Sox CEO Sam Kennedy said in the aftermath of Bloom's dismissal, the Red Sox plan to conduct a quote broader search and that could take a while, and that there were no preconceived plans to hire more experienced candidate or another younger first-time baseball ops leader. I'm just going to put my own comment in there. If they do that again, that would be a huge mistake. If you're the Red Sox, you have to get someone that has some experience. Both links via Alex Spear and Boston Globe. Notably, Spear added that Kennedy took the additional step to specifically calling out that he, quote, can rule out former Red Sox GM Theo Epstein as a candidate, which sucks because that was the guy I wanted in the first place. But talking to my grandfather today again, because we brought this up as well on the golf course, he said apparently Theo Epstein does not want to be back as a GM. He would rather, or you heard somewhere, someone was talking about it.
Why, Theo? Why?
I think he wants to be, and I heard this too. I can't remember. It was one of the sports talk radio shows had it, where I think he more so wants to be part as an ownership group of a team. So like a John Henry type, more so. Which again, hey, like I thought the Red Sox would sell to Theo Epstein. But yeah, I wouldn't hate that. So if Theo's looking for a team to own, if you throw some money at the Red Sox, hopefully we can get you here. That'd be nice.
I will build a shrine to Theo Epstein in my apartment if he buys the Red Sox somehow. Or
yeah, I would
joins
like
a group
too.
that buys the Red Sox. I don't know how all that shit works.
I throw in some stuff to help you with that. But Alex Spear also reported on that the Red Sox could be interested in these three candidates, looking for Bloom's successor, of course, being the guy that you mentioned, Diamondbacks GM Mike Hazen. But I saw a report today or an article that said the Diamondbacks are going to try, obviously, to not let him go to the Red Sox because they like what he's done for them.
They would.
Yeah, exactly. He's obviously built a nice little program there with the Diamondbacks, some good players, made some good moves. Eddie Ramiro, if the Red Sox want to stay in-house, he's currently the Red Sox assistant GM. For those who don't know, he was one of the guys when Rafael Devers signed his extension, said that he was a big part in helping that go through. I think Eddie Ramiro was the guy that visited Devers at his house in the Dominican Republic numerous times. So that's a guy that the Red Sox could very well feel comfortable bringing in. And the guy that I want, because it's how the Red Sox should be operating as a big market franchise, is Dodgers GM Brandon Gomes.
I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that obviously is currently working for and is having success with a big market team that has had for a long time one of the better farm systems in the league. A lot of prospects that come to the Dodgers organization have been very, very good. He's a guy that if you want to kind of toe that middle line of helping the big league team while also finding some diamonds in the rough guys. I mean, look what the Dodgers do with all the Red Sox players that they take. Ryan Brazier's been a great reliever for them since coming over. They've had plenty of success there. So that's the guy the Red Sox are going after. He'd be at the top of my list. I wouldn't hate them just promoting Eddie Ramiro. Obviously, he's had some success. He's a guy that knows the organization very well. I would have to think the players feel comfortable with, again, if Devers is on record for saying, he's a guy that obviously helped him get his extension done over the offseason. So I'd be fine with that. You brought up Hazen. Is there any reason that I may not have mentioned that he kind of stands out to you or why you would want him to be your guy moving forward?
It's just a guy in the archetype of, he's a former Red Sox. So
yep,
they can bring him back.
Would make sense. Yep, he's from around here too. If they want to go the Bruins route and bring a guy with ties to Boston back here. Or with
like I said, I don't know why the Diamondbacks would give the Red Sox permission. And if I were him, I don't know why you'd want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Gomez is a guy that has balls.
He does.
And I want someone who's making moves that has balls, that comes in and throws money around, throws it at the Japanese pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto and other guys. 3 or 4 big signings, get right back into it. And I think Brandon Gomez was another guy. Don't know why he'd leave the Dodgers, so to say, but I would like that guy. He spends money. He's not afraid. He goes after everybody at the trade deadline. When the Red Sox are ready to do so, I would have faith in him to do similar things he has done with the Dodgers, and that is exciting.
Yeah,
they clearly, with the Bloom firing, they want a different direction with this team. That is the guy that brings a different direction to me.
Absolutely. Well, the thing I was going to say too, like Hazen and Gomes, as you mentioned, are guys that are not afraid to make moves. Like they have had, Hazen was there when the Diamondbacks made the trade for JD Martinez that worked out really, really well for them. He won on that crazy home run tear a couple of years ago, leading them to the playoffs. The Dodgers, obviously, we know what they do every offseason. Like I said, they toe the line between having a great major league program and a great minor league program. So again, he's the reason why he stands out to me. But then back on the Hazen side of it, again, not afraid to, take a chance. Did the Madison Bumgarner move work out for the Diamondbacks? No, it did not. He was horrible, but he knew that at the time they needed a veteran pitcher with a young upcoming team and wasn't afraid to go out and throw some money at a guy that, obviously did not work out. So is that what the Red Sox want to do? They've been burned by that before, but me as a Red Sox fan, you as a Red Sox fan who have sat here the last couple of years and watched Chaim Bloom scrape the bottom of the barrel for these free agent guys and, wait till all the big name guys are gone. It would be a breath of fresh air to go out and, be proactive the first couple of days of free agency, go out and try to get a guy like Yamamoto, as you said, who I think the Red Sox have been linked to. I think Alex Spear had that, a guy, keep an eye on there. Also had a report,
Friends
I think
with Yoshida, correct?
Yeah, he is friends with Yoshida. Yep. So there's that tie there. I think on the broadcast today,
Yamamoto, Japanese takeover in Boston.
Just build Team Japan
Even though
from the
Ohtani's
WBC.
not gonna pitch next year, that's okay.
Yeah,
he'll just hit 50 home runs.
I'm very curious to see how that. I don't want to say tanks his market because it's not going to. It's Shohei Ohtani, but I'm very curious to see now how much money potentially gets left on the cutting room floor now that teams know that.
I'd say at least 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that'll
probably
be a good chunk.
Yeah,
it won't be like cut in half, but it'll definitely be a good chunk
for sure. We didn't really touch on it though. We kind of I tried to run through the comments of the owner and the brass of the Red Sox here. What were your thoughts overall on the move? Because as I tried to say in that TikTok, in case people missed it, Chaim Bloom had some good, he had some bad. I think in the end, obviously the bad outweighed the good, and we'll get into a couple of things that maybe led into his firing here, more so than we would have thought. The timing of these stories was very interesting to me. But in the end, like I said, 4 potentially last place finishes in 5 years. That's not going to get it done. I'll give him credit for kicking the farm system back up. He was able to find some of these prospects and bring them in here. Some of these guys have looked really well. Has had some hits at the major league level. Obviously, Garrett Whitlock's one of them. Brennan Bernardino this year was very good. The Benintendi trade wasn't the worst. You get Winchkowski, who's looked pretty good, but you have some bads. The Mookie Betts trade, of course, as we know, the Hunter Renfroe trade. The Vasquez trade was good too. Yep, that's the one I always forget about. But I'm rambling, trying to again piece together my thoughts from that TikTok. What were your thoughts on the move itself, and kind of where you're at with Chaim Bloom and your thoughts on him at the end here?
I think what you mentioned about all the last place finishes was a huge nail in the coffin. I don't think this is a move they had to make this year.
Yep.
But I'm not disappointed that they did. I was in the camp, and I don't know if there are many people like this. I kind of expected them to give him a year or two, maybe even 3 years if they start turning it up to see where these guys he's drafted so high, see where they slot in, see how good they are at the MLB level, or at least more of them at the AAA level.
Yep.
But that's not the case. It comes down to where, sure, you could do that, but you're not getting the results you want. And that's not all on Chaim. He's done good, and he has built the farm system, but it's clearly not a guy that is putting you in the right direction, and they clearly wanted to do something else. The last place finishes and the direction change they felt they need were the nails in the coffin there. So yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't think Bloom is horrible at his job, like some people say, but it was time for a change. The Red Sox are supposed to be a big market team. They're not supposed to be in the basement of the division. That probably wasn't going to change next year with Bloom running the show. It probably wasn't. Let's be real. And Trevor Story had a tumultuous season, but look at Chaim Bloom's biggest free agent signing, Trevor Story.
Been very up and down so far.
Overall, he sucks. Let's be real. Can he bounce back? Sure. Did he?
I'll give him a year to bounce back. That's when I'll wait one more year on to see. But if he comes out and stinks next year, then absolutely you're all right, you could have just brought Bogarts back and let this guy, tear his arm somewhere else.
It's not great. But like you said, there was good, there was bad. But in the end, I can't act like I'm super upset about this. Some people are. I understand.
Yep.
But I just, not me.
Part of it, for me too, part of it, I'm glad that, because obviously throughout the season you heard a lot of it's Alex Cora versus Chaim Bloom. If someone's going to go, who do you pick? I'm glad that it was Alex Cora that survived the season, because I think you fire another manager, have to have another clubhouse shift. That's going to, I think you run the risk of losing guys in your clubhouse if Alex Cora is the guy that gets fired. And again, he's not, you can blame Alex Cora for some things this year. Again, I more so put it, as we talked about when we do Red Sox stuff, I put it on more so what he has to deal with this season, and what, the players he has on the roster, which is obviously from Chaim Bloom. Yeah, exactly. It goes hand in hand. Exactly. So I'm glad they're sticking with Alex Cora. Now, maybe they're not, because he is up for a contract at the end of the year, or he either has 1 year left going into next year. So they're going to have to obviously discuss a contract with him moving forward. But as of now, it seems like Alex Cora has one out, which is good. And like you said, clearly the Red Sox want to go in a different direction. There was a couple of reports, like I said, the funny timing for me that came out, interesting to see and hear your thoughts on, because you brought one of these to my attention. Alex Spear also had this, talking about some of the moves the Red Sox did not make. We will leave the first one because that's the bigger of the two news. On the one that I think should really do in Chaim Bloom. We'll stick with this year first. So this was the first one saying, quote, this year, according to Major League sources, the Red Sox were in deep talks with the Marlins on the day of the deadline about a deal that would have sent Justin Turner to Miami for Edward Cabrera and more. The Sox also had deals on the table for James Paxton. Multiple industry officials said they could have acquired Major League ready pitching, perhaps with the ceiling of a back-end starter, despite the injury risk involving the left-hander and Kenley Jansen. So Kenley Jansen's name also apparently came up in trade rumors. We kind of heard rumblings about that day. I think we talked about the potential of a Justin Turner for Edward Cabrera trade. Again, at the time, the Red Sox thought themselves of a playoff team. So can you knock them for not making these moves? Can you knock Chaim Bloom for thinking that he's in it and go, if I trade Justin Turner, what's that going to look like? That looks like probably punting on the season. Yes, you do get a good young pitcher back in the return in Edward Cabrera and whatever else they were going to get. It was probably going to be like a low end prospect. In hindsight, now that he's injured and has had a bad second half of the season, the James Paxton one's easier to look at and say, oh, you should have traded him. Like, he sucks now. He's hurt. He's not going to pitch anymore for the rest of the year, probably. So that one's a deal you should have made. Again, I'm not going to knock these too much because, again, the Red Sox at the time thought they were in it. The knock itself is the mistake, as we talked about, that you thought you were in it when you really weren't. And now in hindsight, you should have made these moves. But again, at the time, these to me are toss-ups.
The Turner one, I feel like we said the same exact thing. Like, you can't do that trade at that time if you're trying to contend. But yeah, the James Paxton one looks bad. It looks bad.
And then too, the Turner thing, it's like he also had that injury to his foot that he's been dealing with, or his ankle, whatever it was. So again, people are probably sitting there going, oh, well, if you turn you turn Justin Turner over to the Marlins and get Cabrera, you get obviously a good, young, controllable pitcher, and a guy that ends up getting hurt. Again, in the moment, probably a trade they're not going to do. The one I mentioned earlier, though, this is the fireable offense for me if you're Chaim Bloom. And again, maybe this is what went into it. I think this is the one you sent me. This was the same thing Alex Spear said, quote, according to Major League source, at the 2022 trade deadline, the Rangers were willing to take all but $14 million of Chris Sale's remaining contract while also sending 2 prospects to Boston. This isn't in the quote, but I'm pretty sure I heard from another source or heard somebody talking about this. Can't remember who it was. That the reason this deal did not get done is because the Red Sox did not like the 2 prospects that they got. I think it was Rob Bradford that might have said that on a video I watched on Twitter. So Red Sox getting too greedy, Chaim Bloom getting a little too big for his bridges there. This was back to the Spear quote saying, but the talks died. WEEI.com's Rob Bradford reported that an unspecified team was in fact willing to take on all of the remaining 2.5 years of Chris Sale's contract, despite the fact that the left-hander had a broken pinky at the time. So maybe that's what it was, is that team was offering prospects and the Red Sox didn't like what they were getting offered. This is inexcusable to me. If you had a chance and you were given a mulligan to get out of Chris Sale's contract and you didn't take it, like, I like Chris Sale. I'm not going to knock the guy. Like, I'm not going to say like this guy sucks or whatever. So for me, it would have stunk to see him go a little bit, but given the history, the injury history, the inconsistencies, as we've seen this year and last year, you had a chance to get out from under this and you didn't do it. Huge mistake in Chaim Bloom's part. And again, this kind of goes back to him, that aura around him, as we've kind of found out this season, it's come to be that when it comes time to make the big move, he might balk here a little bit. And I think that if this is something that went into him getting fired, the Red Sox obviously going into this offseason with a ton of question marks are probably sitting there going, well, shit, we had a chance to get out from under Chris Sale. He didn't do it. Could have saved us money. Could have got us more prospects if that's what we were looking to do. Can we trust this guy to make a big decision moving forward? Probably not. So we're going to have to cut bait with him.
This one blew my mind because it was reported like last week, I think.
Yeah, it was reported, I think, like hours after or a day after the announcement came out that he was getting fired. So it's like, put 2 and 2 together there. I
didn't have much of a reaction to it, and I don't know why. And then like 20 minutes later, I thought about it again. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Like, you're like, God damn it. How do you mess that up? I don't get it. Maybe again, it was the fact that they didn't want to trade Chris Sale.
Nobody's taking it now.
No chance. But again, the
Nobody's
fact that
going
it
to
was
help out a new GM either. Nobody's be like, "Hey, I'm a
That's
new
true,
GM.
too.
Want to take my worst pitcher contract?" No, fuck you.
unless
Like,
you're the Dodgers, but then again, you have to put prospects into that trade as well.
Dodgers would turn Chris Sale nasty again.
Yep, he'd be Cy Young Chris Sale, 100%. But again, the
Never
fact
get
that it was
hurt.
the 2022 trade deadline, and obviously we know what that trade deadline was. It was walking the
Mhm.
line of trying to sell while also trying to
Xander
buy.
Bogaerts pissed
Yeah.
off.
Like, if you were able to trade Chris Sale off of that deadline, like that probably in Chaim Bloom's eyes would have been like, all right, that's 100% a punt and a sell that we can't, our fans probably can't get behind. But in hindsight, I don't know if a lot of fans would have been upset if you moved Chris Sale out, especially if there was a
dude.
team calling for, most of his contract. Like, you should be able to eat that $14 million if you're the Red Sox. Again, they're cheap now, so probably not. But that one, to me, when I read that, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
It's just completely bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
Completely bizarre.
For sure.
Hey, man.
But now we don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yes,
we're on
so
to hopefully
to talk about at the end of this garbage season with the Red
Like
Sox.
I said,
so that's a win, I guess.
Best move they could have made. You obviously never want to see a guy lose his job. You never, like I said in that TikTok, you never wish ill on anybody, but you mentioned it too. Yeah, exactly. Goodbye. It was time. Like, he ran his course here. You mentioned it, did what he had to do with getting some prospects back in here and making your farm system respectable. Just in the end wasn't cut out for a big market. Like, this is a guy that can thrive on a team like Oakland or Tampa Bay, or give me a crappy National League team, the Nationals. He's not going to kick it in the Bostons, the New Yorks of the world.
No, he's not. No, he is not.
Nope. We found that out the hard way with
It's
4
over.
last place finishes in 5 years.
It's over. Who's
Can't
next?
be doing that. Yeah.
Who's next? Who wants it? So you got prospects and stuff to work with, and you got some stuff. You just gotta fix some things.
Yep.
That's it. Chaim Bloom's gone.
Yep.
And that's it for episode 160.
160 is gone.
160. Thank you so much for listening, new and old listeners. We're approaching 500,000 total downloads on the year. We'll definitely hit it with this episode. We wanted to thank you. That's a big number. Let's make a push for 1 million. That would be sick.
That'd be nice.
I don't know how attainable it is, but we'll get close, I bet. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. You can find us wherever you find your podcasts. You can find us on Twitch and YouTube as well, at full press coverage pages. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio, and the show at Salvaggio and Cratty Pod. Also throw the name of the show into the search bar on TikTok, where we're posting more consistently. We said it for so long, and we're actually doing it. So check us out there. Exactly. Go Pats. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Watch the Bruins this weekend, even though it's preseason. Be nice people, all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you next week. Peace out.